waste guidelines. More or less, I'm more focused on the recycle part of it. After that, I will drive around the city and I actually inspect recycle containers manually for contamination. And then I will take calls from drivers if there's any issues with repeat garbage in the recycle, and I will go educate those people as well. What I love most about the city of Northport is their residents are from all over the world, and I get to learn about the solid waste guidelines, where they come from, as well as educate them on the city of Northport solid waste guidelines and how to recycle properly.
I decided to become a firefighter. I used to work in hospitality and group sales, and I had always had friends that were firefighters, and I decided one day that I wanted to change my job and serve people, so I went ahead and went through an EMT and paramedic program, went to Fire Academy, and then I saw Northport were hiring, and I really liked what they had on there between their ISO rating and their beliefs and values and everything, so I applied. They gave me an opportunity. Every day is different, but for the most part, we start off the same. We'll get our gear onto the apparatus and make sure everything's operational, like our air pack. And then we also check the inventory, make sure we have all our medical equipment, everything's operational. That way we can respond to any emergency, so we're always stocked and ready to go. I think the best part is that everyone's passionate about their job, so they come to work and they're ready to train and take care of each other and teach each other, so everyone's sharp and on their A game, so it makes the job fun, and I just look forward to coming to work. Yeah.
I'm Stacey Alosio. I'm the Emergency Management Coordinator for the City of Northport, and I'm going to tell you the difference between flood zones and evacuation zones, or in Sarasota County we call them evacuation levels. So flood zones were generated by FEMA, and they're used to determine the likelihood that you will flood, and they're used to determine if you need flood insurance if you have a mortgage on your home. Now, the evacuation zones are based on storm surge data that comes from the National Hurricane Center, and they use topography as well as hurricane vulnerability for storm surge for the area, and we use those to determine who needs to evacuate during a storm. So it's important to understand that there is a difference. If you're interested in finding out what evacuation zone you are in, which we highly recommend you do, you can use your search engine of choice and type in Sarasota County Know Your Level, and that'll take you to the Sarasota County government website.
Frank Lamas, Solid Waste Manager, City of Northport. Here today with Mario Vendetti, planner schedule for the City of Northport, Solid Waste Division. We're going to talk about bulk pickups today, how to schedule bulk pickups, what should go out and what should not go out to the curb, where to place the items, and then what happens if you have more than what's allotted for you for the year for a bulk pickup. So Mario, I know we call 941-240-8050, talk to our customer service reps.
That's correct.
About how to schedule a bulk pickup. How else can we do that?
You can also go on our website, northportfl.gov, click on solid waste, and fill out a bulk request form.
Excellent, excellent. So Mario, what about If a person wants to play.
Good evening, everybody. Today's Tuesday, September 23rd, 2025. Excuse me, 2025. It's 6 p.m. We're in the city chambers, and I call the City Commission regular meeting to order. Commissioners present, Commissioner Duval, Commissioner Langdon, Mayor Stokes, Vice Mayor Emmerich, and Commissioner Petro. There's a quorum present for this meeting. Also present, City Manager Fletcher, Interim City Attorney Golan, City Clerk Faust, Police Chief Garrison, and Fire Chief Titus. Before we do the pledge, I'd just like to recognize two former commissioners, Luke and McDowell, who are in the audience. They don't get 3 minutes to speak, though, just for the record. And Mr. Poole, would you care to lead us in the pledge? All right.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All righty. Before I look for a motion to approve the agenda, I'm going to look for a motion to move 2 items up from general so that there are people here in the audience, and rather than make them sit through the entire meeting if they would like, I'd like to see if I could get a motion to bring, let me see if I can find them here. Under general business, C 25-2654 and item G 25-2808. If we could move those up to right after the consent agenda and add them to the A, general business. So can I get a motion for that unless anybody's got some issues with it?
So moved.
Second.
All right, I got a motion by Commissioner Langdon, seconded by the Vice Mayor to move 2 items on the agenda up to right after the consent agenda, and they are item under general business C 25-2654 and G 25-2808. If there's nothing more to this, let's vote. Waiting on you, Commissioner Duval.
Vote.
What's the question?
Except move 2 items
To move,
after.
to move the 2 items up, yes. And that passes 5-0. And now I'm looking for a motion to approve the agenda, subject to those 2 adjustments.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Langdon, seconded by the Vice Mayor to approve the agenda, subject to the 2 changes. Let's vote. And that passes 5-0. City Clerk, any general public comments?
There is none.
Moving on then to consent agenda. City Manager, any items been pulled?
Yes, there are 2. Yes, Mr. Mayor, 2 items. Item A, 25-1720. And also item D, 25-2585.
Okay. And so, and who pulled those?
Both by Commissioner DeVal.
Well, guess we get a motion to approve the consent agenda, accepting those 2.
Move to approve the consent agenda, removing items A and D for discussion.
Second.
Got a motion by the Vice Mayor, seconded by Commissioner Langdon to approve the consent agenda, accepting items A and D for discussion. Let's go ahead and vote. And that passes 5-0. Commissioner Duval, let's start with a 25-17, approve the contract 2024-20, advanced water meter system with Ferguson Enterprises based on budgeted amounts. And this is your item, sir.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I pulled both of these items. The item in itself, the contract, I see nothing wrong with the contract. What I saw was the way the item is written. The way it's written, we're voting on this contract. And then, if we just pass it the way it's written, we're giving up our right to look at it again when it's renewal time. Okay? Things could change, costs could change, there could be other bidders, technology could change. I just don't believe that the commission should be giving up its right to vote on and this is for the second matter also. I would like to change it, after we have any discussion, to make a motion that we approve the contract, but the renewal should come up to the city commission in accordance with the terms and conditions in the solicitation. In other words, just removing the city manager and replacing it with city commission.
Anybody else want to weigh in on this? Commissioner Langdon?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I have a question. I think this is for our interim city attorney. What kind of escalation clause do we have in this contract? I suspect it's pretty standard across all of our contracts. Is there some built-in limitation to how much the contract can increase without it coming to commission?
Do a quick search. So generally, any increases year to year would have to be approved by commission unless that authority is granted to the city manager to approve. And I don't see any for this contract. In a quick review, I haven't looked through this contract thoroughly. But on its face, I don't see 3% annually. I'm gonna take that back. After the first 5 years, shall not exceed 3% annually. I believe that's it.
And if it should exceed that 3%,
It would have to come back to the commission for approval.
Commissioner Duval, are you comfortable with that limitation to cost escalation?
No, because because other factors could change besides the cost. I just believe that this is a commission function and it should remain a commission function.
I mean, my thought is we do approve the contracts up front, the initial contracts.
The initial contract I approve of, yes.
Anybody else?
So if you'd like, I can explain a little bit of why we draft our contracts that way, if that would be helpful. If not, I can skip it. You're looking at me, so I'm assuming that's a yes. Okay, so generally we write our contracts that way to save time and energy to bring it back before this commission. We give the city manager certain authorities, generally to agree to amendments that don't change the price. Any change in price would come back to the commission. To where we can terminate in the best interest of the city or for cause, to kind of avoid having to bring grievances and problems with vendors before the commission and air it in public. The city manager gets that authority, and to agree to extensions that the price, again, doesn't change. When the price changes, when things cost more, those all will come back to the commission as they're required to So we try and save time and effort, staff time of putting things on the agenda and having to move things along more efficiently and effectively by saving that time. That's generally what we do now if the commission directs. Otherwise, we could take a different direction.
I understand the effort to try to make things run more efficiently, easier for staff. But again, we were elected by the citizens to represent them. And if we're giving up that representation to staff, then I feel we're letting the citizens down.
Can I ask a question? Were we not to go forward with this, I mean, what policy do we actually have? Right now, there are hundreds, I assume, of agreements that take place as a matter of course, that year after year roll over. I mean, what are we looking at if we were to take the position that every agreement this city enters into needs to come before this commission? Because in effect, that's what I'm hearing. We represent the people, we do. We are the stewards of the tax dollars, so it means we ought to approve every single dollar that's spent and not delegate any authority to anybody. Everything ought to come to this commission. So I'm trying to get a gauge on what this would mean to us, because how could only these two items, okay, be exempted from this? I mean, there are agreements that happen all the time. I mean, we have a chief operating officer of the city who is empowered to run the city, make decisions on behalf of the city. The guardrails are if the price goes up, it has to come to commission. If it substantively changes the agreement, it has to come to the commission. What are the criteria by which an agreement that's up for renewal that changes comes to us? Because I think that's what Commissioner Duval's concern is. I mean, it certainly is mine too, if that's the case. You know, city manager can't just arbitrarily change contracts and increase prices like arbitrarily. So there are some guardrails in this process. Otherwise, there'll be hundreds of items that come, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong here, but it just seems to me that we're not talking just a couple items here. If we need to approve these two, then we need to approve them all.
You're right on point, Mr. Mayor. As you're aware, the city's charter requires all contracts come before the commission, and the city manager is not allowed to execute them until approved by the commission. So everything that comes before this commission, every contract currently comes before the commission, no matter if it's for $1 million or for $1, comes before this commission for approval. In the contract, you can approve him to approve extensions for a small increase, for example, 3% increase in later years of the contract. You can approve that now, so that in 5 years you don't have to see that contract again. You don't have to, but you can. And so that's the language that you're seeing today in this contract.
Because I mean, they still have to come up.
But you still see every contract that it's entered into.
That's what I thought. I mean, this was the subject of some discussion at a point in time, I think shortly after I came on the commission, and we went through this and we actually voted to do this so as to take the burden off of the commission seeing what would be a voluminous amount of agreements every time they come up for no reason whatsoever. I mean, for no logical reason, because if there was substantive change, they would have to come to us. And we would still, you know, I mean, I don't know. It seems like we're going backwards here, but anyway, all right. I don't know. Does anybody else have any questions? Commissioner Petro?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Not that I'm coming to the defense of Commissioner Duval, but item D, when I was going to pull that item as well. And he makes a good point. This is the function of the commission. Michael answered my question. The city charter specifies that we approve all the contracts. But item D, since it's up for the discussion, when I was reading it, it was on consent agenda, and I was under the impression that we do in-house services, and then I see this in consent that we outsourcing, and then the phrase that caught my eye is that future approvals or renewal terms would be up to the city manager. That kind of gives the impression and limits us from any input. So, just my 2 cents. I think would be beneficial to say, yes, we approve the contract on the consent agenda, and if it's not pulled, we certainly, if it's pulled, we talk about it. But I do agree to some extent with Commissioner Duval that it is beneficial for us to look. After all, year after year, the workload will be so low for us that we're not going to have too much work if we give all the delegation to the city manager. I guess if we read the law correctly, and I'm not a lawyer, I would be hesitant confirming Commissioner Duval's concerns. I would be hesitant to give away that authority.
Mr. Langdon.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. You know, I hear all three of you. I was here when this commission or the previous commission made a conscious effort to make this commission more efficient. And the conversation was in routine matters where the conversation also came up in the ULDC. So when there are development projects and the details of that development project totally embrace the rules of this city, then they would no longer come to the commission. I mean, why, we set the rules for the city, why would we then want to review all of those development agreements? It was a similar conversation and thought process with contracts. One way of looking at it in the operation of the contract, city staff has direct line of sight into managing that contract. City staff, with all due respect to us, has a front row seat to how well that vendor is performing to the terms of that contract. So I am very comfortable giving staff the opportunity to make routine changes to a contract that makes sense. I definitely want to see things that impact the budget. And I think having that 3% guardrail in this particular project, and we should have some guardrail in every project. If we don't, we need to see to that. But I just don't see what value this commission can add to how well a vendor is executing a contract. I also have to say, I have absolutely no concerns about this commission having enough work. There are so many important issues that come before this body that directly impact the quality of life of the folks who live here, and those are the kinds of things that we need to focus on. Those are the kinds of issues that the residents of the city, the voters of the city, voted us in to do, not to get involved in administrivia. So that's my feeling on the issue.
Commissioner Duval.
Thank you, Mayor. Particularly when we come to item D, it's about mowing, okay? And there were 4 or 5 vendors that bid. And city staff came up with, recommended actually the lowest cost bidder. But what happens if we get to the end of the contract and now the contract is up for renewal? Does it just automatically, does the city manager just automatically renew it with that vendor? Or do we get the opportunity to again look at the other vendors that might bid on a renewal contract where maybe we could get a better deal or, better service. If we
Yes.
just leave it to the city manager, does he get to pick and choose which vendor gets it after that first contract?
Right. The mayor gave me permission, because I have a related question to what you're saying. City manager or city attorney, are we required to select the lowest bid? What are the limitations statutorily on our contract evaluation and approval process?
I'm going to need someone from finance to talk about our procurement law. Maybe the new finance director. Is it?
Irina Kocharenka, Finance Director. I'm relatively new still, so bear with me. There is a procurement policy and procedures in place depending on the amount that we're procuring. There are different levels. So if it requires an RFP and if it requires RFQ, for example, then there is a process that goes in place where a solicitation is put out there. Then the bidders submit their submittals, and then there is a selection committee that goes through and reviews their submittals. And those submittals are not, yes, you look at the lowest cost as your first that you would look at, but then there are other criteria based on their experience, based on the work that they have done in the past. There are other criteria that are part of the selection. And so the committee would then score each submittal, and based on that scoring, then they would come to the conclusion of who they would recommend as who they're selecting.
So the city manager cannot willy-nilly decide who gets a contract?
No. There's a long process. It takes about 90 days, let's say, to even go through all of those processes, and until we get to the point where we are ready to select the vendor.
And this commission approves all city processes, is that correct, Deputy City Attorney, Interim City Attorney?
The processes are, for this process that she's talking about, are mostly statutory.
Yes.
Which controls. So it's beyond the.
So the state has instructed its municipalities how it will go
How the
about
procurement process works, and then they have their own implementation of that.
We also have it in the code in terms of the amounts and what that looks like, the procurement process and competitive process.
Commissioner Duval, does that make you feel a little more comfortable?
A little, but I guess what would make me feel more comfortable to move things along here and make things easier, what would be our consensus of the five of us as to my idea of taking the city manager out of these two things, or not? If it's a not, and it's, can I get a consensus for, do we leave the city manager in or not?
Can I make a comment?
It would be a motion, Commissioner.
The motion.
Can I make a motion to ask for a consensus as to whether we leave the city manager on these two items or just leave it up to the city commission?
Well, before anybody makes a motion, Commissioner Petra?
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to be respectful of the process. I guess my concern is deviation from the city charter technically. Then it seems to be the amendment to the city charter that is made outside of the city charter. To me, after all, if we're talking about saving the staff's time, it doesn't take much time to put a on a consent agenda in the future, one item. And if the commission feels that it has to be pulled, we can pull it again. To me, once a year to put it on consent agenda, I mean, in my time being on the commission, I only witnessed under maybe 10 items that have been pulled from the consent agenda. I don't see a big problem, but I understand what Commissioner Langdon is saying as far as developmental process, and you're talking about Florida statute, that's different. This is something different in nature that we're talking about. I would be more comfortable supporting Commissioner Duval in this challenge, I guess, if I can call it that way. Because I do see that there's technicalities of it is deviation from the city charter to some extent without being amending the city charter. Technically speaking, nothing personal, it's just my unbiased view of this issue that was brought by the Commissioner Duval, and I support him in that regard. Actually, like I said, those are the two items that I was gonna pull it, but they were already pulled. And simply, the item number 25-2585, it's good that it was pulled because my concern was different in addition to his concern, that I was all under the impression that we do mowing services in-house. Well, if we give this authority to the city manager, that opportunity to talk about this would be missed, as it is not missed now. So we can talk about why it's being outsourced and what are the comparison as far as if it's done in-house and not whatnot. And it doesn't have to be publicly. We can do this one-on-one with the city manager asking all these questions to save the public's time. But for us, as a commission, we have to be well informed of making a proper decision on the dais. And I think this would lead to a better decision-making process if we leave that function to be the commission's function.
Mr. Mayor, I know these items seem to be related as far as the reasons for their pulling, but I'd like to ask that we keep our conversation to the first item, 25-1720, please, as noticed on the agenda.
Yep. He said thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
So what are we looking at here?
Public comment, not a motion.
Yeah. There's nothing more from us. Any public comment on this item? Then entertaining motions.
I'll make it. I move to approve item number 25-1720 as presented.
Second.
A motion by the Vice Mayor, seconded by Commissioner Langdon to approve 25-1720. There's more to this. Let's vote. And that passes 3-2 with Commissioner Duval and Commissioner Petrov abstaining or dissenting for reasons given, gentlemen. Or would either of you want to comment additionally?
For the sake of time, I would be repeating myself. I guess I made it clear my concern.
Thank you. All right. On D, I'm looking for a motion on 25-2585.
I'll make it. I move to approve award of request for bid number 2025, 33, outsourced mowing services to NDL LLC doing business as Natural Designs Landscaping in an amount not to exceed $127,132 and authorize the city manager to approve the future renewal terms.
I'm going to second that, but you need to ask for public comment before the motion.
Yep.
Thank you.
Before we go further, do we have public comment on this one? Thank you. Thank you, Vice Mayor. All right, so I've got a motion by Commissioner Langdon, seconded by the Vice Mayor, to approve D 25-2585. Anything to this? More than's already been discussed, or can we vote? Let us vote. And that passes 3-2 with Commissioner Duval and Commissioner Petro in the dissent. Reasons given, gentlemen?
Same ones as before.
Okay. Moving on to
Item C. For general business, 25-2654.
right. Okay. Yeah, let's pull up the first one. Pull up C 25-2654. Discussion and possible action regarding bestowing a key to the city and/or other ceremonial items to Bill Gunnan at a future commission meeting. This was requested by me. I had a request made to me or a number of members of the community regarding Bill Gunnan and his contributions to the city. And the request was made for perhaps the opportunity to bestow the key to the city on him. He's been the executive director of the Northport Area Chamber of Commerce for years and has really, in my opinion, done a great job to to contribute to this city's growth and well-being and good health. So I brought it up as a subject to be discussed, and would love to hear what my fellow commissioners have to say regarding this item. Just so you know, before the conversation, I'm gonna, bear with me just 1 minute. According to the attachments, the policy and procedure for certificates, key to the city, and proclamations are as follows. Key to the city. A key to the city is the city's most prestigious award and may be given for reasons including, but not limited to, the honoring of a Northport resident with significant accomplishments in military service, a person who performed an act of heroism while in the city limits, or a dignitary or celebrity visiting the city. So it's good that it said including but not limited to, since the last two keys to the city we gave to gentlemen who contributed in a major way to our city and don't qualify under this description here, at least the highlighted items, but do fall into included but not limited to. So with that in mind, let's have a little discussion and see what people think about this. Commissioner Langdon.
Thank you, Mayor. When I first moved to the city in 2014, I was reopening my digital marketing consultancy. So, of course, one of the first stops I made was on the Northport Chamber of Commerce. And I'll never forget meeting Bill in a small room, single room with filing cabinets and desks and chaos, because the space was so small and had no differentiation. And yet Bill welcomed me and spent time with me talking about, the benefits to joining the chamber. And I did indeed join the chamber. Fast forward to today, I don't know how many magnitudes of 100% the budget of the Northport City Chamber in terms of fees collected from local businesses has increased. Someone else may know that. It's majorly significant because today the chamber has moved from that one little small office in a very old building of the city and I think in the past year or so, purchased its own building. And we now have one of the most vibrant, growing chambers of commerce in the area. And I'm always impressed when I go to the networking meetings and everyone sort of introduces themselves and talks a little bit about, you know, when they came and how they came to the city. And we have a ton of businesses in the city, but we also have a lot of businesses from surrounding areas who attend our meetings because our chamber is so vibrant and so active. And two things that stick out in my mind. Over the years, our chamber has had a very robust training program for businesses. I mean, I think we've talked before in the past that something like 80% of the businesses that open in the city of Northport are small businesses and home-based businesses. And that kind of educational content is really vital to their growth and success. And in my old life, I gave seminars on digital marketing, and I've been everywhere from Bradenton to Naples, working with chambers and the SBDC and other organizations, delivering those seminars. Everywhere else, the small businesses pay. Here in Northport, that training is free, which is vitally important for small businesses just getting started. Not only is it free, but you get a free lunch because the chamber gets a sponsor for each of those training events. So I could go on, and I can see the mayor's face going, will she ever wrap it up here and land the plane? So let me just say that I believe Bill Gunnan has had a major impact on the success of the city, and in particular has a major impact on helping those very small businesses and home-based businesses grow, and we have so many examples of that. So I do believe he qualifies for a key to the city. His dedication is really unwavering and unquestionable. So that's my humble opinion. And having experienced the chamber in its various facets, both as a member and not as a member, it's an incredibly vibrant chamber that we really should be proud of. And that's under the leadership of Bill. So done.
Mr. DeVal.
Thank you, Mayor. Going to the city commission policy under key to the city. As the mayor has already alluded to, it says including but not limited to. And that not limited to is honoring a Northport resident with significant accomplishments in military service, a person who performed an act of heroism within the city limits. We're not talking about a military person here, but it does say not limited to. And if you get down to the end where it says also, or a dignitary or celebrity visiting the city, Bill certainly is a dignitary in this city. And I don't know how anybody that knows Bill or has paid attention to what goes on here in the city could say that he is not a dignitary here and has not done wonderful things for the city.
Nice of you to say. Yeah, I mean, clearly, I am biased. I am ex officio for the last few years to the chamber. I go to a lot of chamber events, and, you know, it takes all of us to make a great city. It takes our citizens first and foremost. It takes our staff. It takes our commission. And it takes a lot of the organizations that support the city. And the chamber, this truly is, as Commissioner Langdon said, a vibrant and a unique chamber. It's special. It shines. Not that any other chamber in the area isn't wonderful and have wonderful people, but this chamber especially really has done so much for this city to help pull us together, to help try to grow us in a commercial way. You know, we struggle with the larger commercial development that's going to help our non-residential tax base, but the chamber is just relentless in its pursuit of networking with small businesses and mid-sized businesses to help stimulate our local economies, keep them growing, make it an attractive place. I really can't say enough. He is the glue that holds that organization together and has built an organization of some incredible people. So at a point in time when he decides he's had enough, there will be an organization that can move forward and do great things as he's done. So, you know, I really can't speak highly enough of him. He is an honorable guy. He loves the city to death. He would do anything that's right, would do anything to help the city. And so, you know, I'm a big supporter of this. Commissioner Petro.
Thank you, Mayor. I was going to ask why he has not been presented with a certificate of recognition, appreciation, and/or achievement, or maybe he has been awarded or had been before. I'm not sure. I mean, he is really a celebrity in our city. He's very dedicated. It would rather be appropriate to give it to the local celebrity than somebody outside of the city. But I think, I want to thank him for his dedication. I do want to make a point that, you know, at some point, if he's awarded with the key to the city, he has to look and raise somebody else if he decides to step down, someone who would be matched to his ability and dedication.
Big shoes.
Yes.
Well, there's a good chamber board there that does good work, and I'm sure that when that day comes, they'll find the right person for the fit. But it's good. I guess the next, do we have any public comments?
In person, we have Gid Poole, followed by Jill Luke and Debbie McDowell.
At least one joke, sir?
Here's my car. I'm Gid Poole, Northport, McSwain. Thank you, Mayor, for putting this on the agenda. I had all these fancy remarks about everything Bill has done, but you guys just did it, so I'll service that time. There you go, Jill. I do want to say that it's important in a community to have the people like Bill involved in the community. We were able to come here almost 20 years ago, the little hole back there, and I have been watching Bill for years. There must be two of him because he's everywhere. But his impact on this community is immeasurable. We now have our new business, thanks in large part to Bill, because I could go to those trainings, the technology and all of that stuff. I just think to get out of here in a hurry, because I got dinner waiting, and my wife will get mad at me if I don't get home, is the fact that there's several ways to honor somebody other than a key to the city. There's a proclamation, there's a letter of appreciation, there's a gift card to Starbucks. But I think the key to city is so appropriate that anything less would be overlooking his achievements. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Poole.
Jill Luke, citizen of Northport. You guys are right on the mark. He deserves the key to the city. I was sitting up there when that direction was made about the key to the city and stuff, and that was to leave it to your discretion, for you guys to decide if somebody had proven themselves enough to award them the key to the city. Bill Gunnan has. He is the largest advocate for this city who doesn't even live in this city. He came to the chamber in 2010. I was not there to be on that board that elected him, but I was involved in the chamber. And he came in with a bang, and that bang has continued since. He would have moved to our city, but he had a son who has some developmental issues. And so the school that he was sending his son to, and the help and the aid and the support that he had in his Cape Coral vicinity, he could not leave. family and children have to come first. Otherwise, he would have planted his flag here in this city.
I'm sure he would.
But he always brags about Northport, pushes out about Northport. He was in Comedy for Cause, and I was his manager. And up on that stage, he wasn't cutting up playing jokes. He was telling the people how great Northport was and how business should come, to Northport. Economic development was something that we were really failing in back in those days. He picked up that torch also. It is the business community that the chamber presents and works for and toward. And so they do the economic aspect for this city. And again, Bill is at the forefront of making that happen. So thank you for seeing this through. He deserves the key to the city. You can give him a proclamation when he relinquishes the job. But key to the city now. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Debbie McDowell. Living here for 35 years, I had the pleasure of knowing Bill when he first came on board. And then my husband joined the chamber. And I have got to tell you, Bill Gunnan is the most welcoming person in this city. If there's an issue, Bill knows how to get it solved, who to go to, whether for businesses. As one of his former employees, I have to tell you, he was so welcoming, not just to me, but anybody who comes through that door. He treats everybody like they are super important, and he will go miles to make sure they are successful if they're a small business or even a large business. He knows this city probably better than a lot of the residents in this city. And I think this is high time. Great idea, Mayor. Thank you for bringing this forward. And if anybody does deserve it, it's Bill. I hope it's a unanimous vote.
Thank you very much. All right.
I'll make a motion if you want.
Looking for a motion, that's right.
I'll make it. I move to direct the city clerk to create an agenda item for the next ceremonial commission meeting to present Bill Gunnan with the key to the city.
Second.
Commissioner Langdon,
Yes.
if we could just say for the one after the next
Right.
one, the next one's on October 2nd.
Yeah,
It won't
I
be-
was just gonna
Okay,
say
so the
that.
first, the
In
November
November,
yes. Need to go
ceremonial
time.
meeting. That's fine.
And we have a second, did we get?
That was me.
Very good, thank you, David. Got a motion by Commissioner Langdon, seconded by Commissioner Duval to direct city clerk to create an agenda item for for an upcoming ceremonial commission meeting to present Bill Gunnan with key to the city. Let's vote. Guess I'm the only one who did it. That passes 5-0. Fabulous. Yes, we can clap. There we go. There you go. Now, let's bring up, item 25-2808, discussion possible action regarding city attorney employment agreement with Michael Farino. City manager, this is your item. I would like to welcome Michael. He had to make his grand entrance. But city manager, if you introduce this item, I appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. After interviewing 3 finalists on August 29, 2025, the City Commission voted to pursue contract negotiations with Mr. Michael Fuino to serve as the next city attorney. The City Commission directed Doug Thomas of Strategic Government Resources and Mayor Phil Stokes to negotiate with Mr. Fuino to present for review and approval at a City Commission regular meeting. The contract negotiations have concluded, and the city attorney employment agreement is attached to the agenda item. The key points of negotiations were the start date, which is October 15th, 2025, starting salary, a 6-month performance review, as well as relocation costs. We ask that you approve the city attorney employment agreement with Mr. Michael Fuino today.
Thank you. Commissioners? And Commissioner Duval, you're up first, sir.
Thank you, Mayor. We did go through discussions. We went through interviews with a number of candidates. Mr. Fuino was the overall choice of all of us. The mayor did some negotiating for us. I looked at the terms in the contract, and as far as I'm concerned, welcome.
Thank you, sir. Anybody else? Okay, I'll just, Commissioner Langdon,
I would
go
just
ahead.
say, Mr. Mayor, ditto that. You did a great job, Mayor, negotiating the contract. Thank
Yeah,
you.
I mean, again, just for people to know, the commission authorized me to, to work through this with our outside headhunter, Doug, and Mr. Farino. And again, we had a range to work with on salary. We ended up at the midpoint of that range. Part of it, obviously is impacted by the existing salaries of other people within that department. And so we tried to come up with something that was reasonable. As far as the agreement itself, Acting City Attorney Golan went a long way towards trying to pattern this agreement along with the other agreements of our charter officers, so there wasn't any anomalies or anything out of the ordinary in there. And I think the fact that we could work a phase-in period was a huge help. We know, Mr. Farino has some obligations that he wants to wrap up at his prior place of employment. That's commendable. We also want to get him on board here and see him committed to doing the people's business here in the city of Northport. So we appreciate the flexibility in transitioning. And, I think that he'll be a welcome addition, and we're delighted to have him on board. I see Commissioner Duval, you'd like to comment.
Yes, Mayor, I forgot one thing. Thank you very much, Mr. Golan, for what you've done for us while you were the interim.
My pleasure.
Thank you for that, Commissioner
That's
McDowell.
right, thank you.
I did it again because I'm looking at you 3 times now. Commissioner Duval. And all I have to say is, let's get Michael here and put him to work.
They have medicine for this.
I think I might have to get a prescription. Yeah.
All right. No, we're just beginning. Commissioners, if there's nothing else, any public comment?
There's none.
Okay, then I'm looking for a motion.
I'll make it. I move to approve the city attorney employment agreement with Michael Fuino as presented.
Second.
Got a motion by Commissioner Duval, seconded by Commissioner Langdon to approve the city attorney employment agreement with Michael Farino as presented. Let us vote, folks. And that passes 5-0. Welcome aboard, Michael. All right. Let's,
You can have the rest of the night off, sir.
no, you're going to be here all evening.
No,
Don't forget
I was talking about the real one.
The real, they both appear real to me. All right, we have one other item of general business up front here at 25-2449. This city manager's your item. I'll let you introduce it, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is discussion and possible action regarding approval of the agreement by and between the City of Northport, Florida and Red Speed Florida LLC for speed detection camera school system for school zones. We do have a presentation attached to the document for House Bill 657, enforcement of the school zone speed limits with Red Speed camera systems. I will turn it over to Captain King to lead the discussion. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you.
Good evening. For the record, Scott King, Captain at the Police Department. Tonight, we're going to cover House Bill 657 for the enforcement of school zone speed limits with red speed camera systems in the city. For the implementing of school zone cameras, we're following HB 657, which states that the ordinance must be enacted and to install any speed detection systems in a public hearing, which the first reading was on September 9th. For the start and each year subsequent has to come in front of commission for approval. We will have a notice and public awareness campaign prior to the operational enforcement timeframe of the speed camera systems. And the objective is to increase the safety of the school zones within the city limits of Northport. The allocation of funds, which the bill breaks down for us, of the $100 civil penalty, $20 is broken to the Department of Revenue for the general fund. Out of the $60 that the city sees, Red Speed gets $21 of it, and then that's their fee. And then the city of Northport will see $39 of that $60. $3 goes to the Department of Law Enforcement Criminal Justice Training Standards and Training Trust Fund. $12 goes to the county school district. And then we also receive $5, which goes towards the police department for school crossing guard recruitment and retention. The speed camera system usage is to enhance the abilities of law enforcement to utilize photo speed enforcement in school zones to affect a change in behavior of drivers that violate the posted speed limit. Violations of 11 plus miles per hour over the posted speed limit create the violations. The systems will operate from 30 minutes before a regularly scheduled school breakfast program through the entirety of the school day to 30 minutes after the end of the school day. This will only be used in school zones during active school days. A notice will be sent to the registered owner of the vehicle involved in the violation within 30 days after, which specifies the remedies and the penalties that they must pay. All violations are reviewed through a multi-stage verification process before a traffic enforcement officer issues any citations. And then a hearing may be requested with the hearing officer if the citation is disputed. The technology that is used is lane identification for up to 3 adjacent lanes. All of our sites will have permanent fixed locations. There's high definition lane-specific motion picture-based enforcement. The accuracy of the radar ensured by daily self-checks on the site and annual independent certification via nationally recognized third-party laboratory. The cameras function in all weather and lighting conditions, and each image provides a clear identification of the visible plate and the car features. And then Red Speed did conduct a 5-day traffic study at all the school locations and presented us with the violations that occurred during the school day at those locations during the week. Thank you.
Thank you, Captain King. Commissioner Langdon.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have a number of questions, so you may want to time me, and perhaps I would need a second round. On the 5-day traffic study, the violators at Toledo Blade Elementary School, that number seemed very high to me. What was the methodology that the vendor used to capture that number?
I'm going to have a representative from Red Speed come up that can explain more. I can tell you for Toledo Blade Elementary, that comes off of Price, which is a very heavily traveled road.
Yep.
And that is any violation that is over the posted speed limit throughout the entire day.
Okay, for the entire day. Okay, thank you.
Good evening. I'm Jeff DeFloth. I represent Red Speed Florida. You wanted to know the technique that we use or the
Yes.
technology that we use?
Yes.
We actually have our engineers go and hang a radar unit and then calculate it for the period of time It varies. Do you recall how many days we did the study?
5.
5 days. Sometimes it's 3 days. We did an extended period of 5 days. So you get a little more of an accurate reading. But our technicians actually hang a radar unit at all of those locations.
Okay, thank you for that. Now, I understand that the cameras will be in effect a half an hour before the first event at the school. I think you mentioned the breakfast.
Yes, ma'am.
And then 30 minutes after the close of school. Will the lights continue to flash during that period?
The lights only flash during the school zone timeframes in the morning and in the afternoon, not during the duration when school is in session. So just the actual school zones where the speed limit is reduced to the school zone times.
Okay, because again, I understand that there'll be half an hour before and after the official school zone times.
Correct.
So my question is, will the lights continue to flash during that supplemental half hour at the beginning and end of school?
They will flash at the half hour before and half hour after.
Okay.
However, they're not going to flash during the regular day.
I get that, yeah.
Because that's just signaling that there's been a reduction in speed,
Right.
right? During the day, the speed limit goes back to the
Back to
normal
its-
posted. So the
Okay.
lights don't need to flash.
Okay, terrific, thank you. And I also understand that during the day, that equipment will be used to monitor speeds, to find transgressions at the normal rate of speed for that street.
That is correct.
Okay. Question about the cost of implementing. What kind of impact does that have on our budget, and are there any implications for the taxpayers of the city? How's it funded, I guess would be an easier way of.
That we do not pay anything up front. The funds that Red Speed receives is from the violations itself. They get a
Okay.
percentage of what the city sees.
Okay, and that breakout is strictly from the violations?
Correct.
Okay. Can you talk a little bit more about the educational process? Now, there's part of me that says, look, people shouldn't be speeding anyway, but this is a change and there will be penalties. So can you talk a little bit more about what will happen in that 30-day period and what that educational program will look like more specifically?
Yes, ma'am. So we work with Red Speed. So for the month preceding us going live with it, there will be social media, there will be news, there'll be papers in multi-language that will be pushed out both within the city and through the newspapers that will explain all the regulations to it, all of the timeframes that it will affect. I'm also working with the city communication to get a website that will have frequently asked questions so that they can get their answers from our department website as well.
And how will those violators be handled during that 30-day educational period?
That will be just warnings.
Okay, so an official warning or just sort of a verbal, will there be warning paperwork or will it just be a sort of an educational?
It will be a written warning.
There will be a written warning. Okay, thank you. I'll yield for now.
Commissioner Duval.
Thank you, Mayor. Just who I am. I did a little investigating on my own. I drove around to some of the school districts. I found out a few things. Number one, if you're going to go to our Woodhaven school, you go down Price, and if you turn left onto Panacea, the speed limit is 30 miles an hour. When you get to a bridge, after the bridge, the speed limit goes to 35, and right after that, it goes to 20, because it's in a school zone. Now, if you came off of Toledo Blade onto Panacea, you hit that 35 first. I kind of recommend that 35 section south of Woodhaven School be dropped down to 30 normally. That's confusing. Secondly, on Toledo Blade, for Toledo Blade Elementary School, there is on Price a crosswalk. And it doesn't have one of those buttons people can push when they want to cross the road, like we have on Northport Boulevard by the old police station for kids to get across to the skate park. They can push a button and there's flashing lights, you know, the crosswalk gets lighted. They don't have that at Toledo Blade Elementary on Price. One other thing I noticed in the presentation, there's nothing about any school zone on North Cranberry. But on North Cranberry in the morning, just off of Toledo Blade, right in front of STC, Shannon Staub Library, across the street is Commerce Parkway. And there's a school zone there in the morning, but I didn't see anything in the presentation about these speed cameras being put in there. Other than that, we've had a lot of questions, I know I have already, from citizens, you know, and I was notified that Manatee County has gotten rid of this program. And the basic reason was, one of the main reasons, people think it's a money grab. I don't agree with that. I agree, you know, this is going to be a problem on Price. Or in the morning, speed limit goes down to 15 or 20 miles an hour. And based on that, if someone does 31, they get a ticket. But then during the middle of the day, when those lights aren't flashing, the speed limit's now 45. And we all know people are going to do 55. And they're going to be getting tickets on 56 miles an hour. It's going to be confusing for people. And just from the numbers that were collected on Price, we all know how much traffic there is there, and people are going to holler. I'm not to say that people are going to holler and be correct. If you're speeding, you deserve a fine. The safety of all our citizens, whether they're children or not, people crossing the roads, bicycles. We have e-bikes around nowadays. I've spoken with the chief before. Traffic is our major issue for our police department in this city. People are going to complain about this, but maybe in 6 months or so, they're going to realize that if you speed, you're going to pay. If you don't speed, then you're going to save $1. Also, I did look into the contract and I saw that if for some reason or other we have a problem with this contract is written for 5 years. But if we have, it says that if we have problems with it, we can get out of it. And that's a plus to have that option. And to that question of people have, how much is it going to cost us? The company they're providing their dollars to install this. It's not costing the city a dime monetarily. I think that's about all I got.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Petra.
Thank you, Mayor. I just, I'm a little bit concerned about a few things, and people are gonna get confused because to ticket empty zones midday when kids are not outside is simply not serving its intended purpose. I guess just to make it clear, the reduced school speed limit is only gonna be at the beginning of the school day and after the school day. Am I correct?
That is correct.
Okay. My major concern is there would be a big shift in behavior. I guess people are gonna see the flashing lights and everybody slows down. My major concern is Price Boulevard and the construction of the Price. Right now at the school time at Price and Jennings, it's practically a parking lot for who knows how many minutes. It's from 8:30 to 9, but it's all impacted. And I don't know, maybe we can postpone this project until, for the sake of the citizens and what we are going through on the Price Boulevard. As the city grows, we have more people, right? But same amount of roads. And this time, one major way of commuting is going to be greatly reduced, closed, one lane closure. I think it's going to affect greatly. We currently don't have many connectivity streets. I believe we only have 2 underway. One is being implemented and one is looked into it. It's just a major commute nightmare for people because of the Price Boulevard construction. And I'm just being a voice of reason. Maybe we can I'm not totally against the program. It's a good way of safety, but we have to have a balance between the public perception with risk over safety issues or concerns, but also the construction of Price Boulevard. I think we're going to make a lot of people angry because we do not provide main connectivity detours. It's just going to pile up, and I foresee a major public I shouldn't say revolt, but people are going to voice concerns. And I'm greatly affected because I use Price every day. And to commute to this meeting, I have to take Price. To commute to any meetings or commute to any point of destination, 90% I use Price. So with those speed cameras, that's going to be it will greatly affect the commute of our city. And that's my major concern. My other concern is on, for example, Cranberry and Price. The schools are not even on the street. They're 2 streets away, 1 street away, or 1 block, 2 blocks over. We have a lot of legwork to do to educate our citizens. So just a thoughtful food that, maybe we can postpone this program because of the construction on major roadway in our city.
Vice Mayor. Yeah, question. On your presentation, you had said that the company Red Speed, I believe is their name, is they get $21 out of the 100. Out of the 100 that comes in, they get 21 bucks. That's their cut for putting in the cameras.
Yes, sir.
I'm just trying to give it to Commissioner Duvall because they're providing their dollars putting these cameras in. And then on your graph, you showed that at Toledo Blade Elementary School, violators 10 plus over in a 5-day period was 4,589 violators. So at $21 a piece to the company is $96,369. That's why they're putting their money into this project, sir. So.
Can I respond to that?
Absolutely. These are your numbers that you gave me.
Those are correct numbers, but I'd like to just enlighten you a little bit more. I have a couple of examples. One of them is at Cardinal Mooney School. The city of Sarasota also has this program. And we have speed cameras at Cardinal Mooney High School on Fruitville. And I was talking to their administrator just a couple weeks ago, and the number of violations from the initial speed study to now had reduced 80%. The other example I can give, we started this program in the state of Georgia, and we have cameras in Gwinnett County, which encompasses parts of the Atlanta area, and the Gwinnett County Sheriff reported a 95% reduction in some of their cameras. So the money those aren't accurate numbers once the system is up and running. This does change driver behavior, and it does reduce the number of violations.
Okay, good enough. He had brought up Manatee County as well, and I don't believe they canceled the project. I know the last article that I read was that they had it taken down to where they're only doing infractions while the lights are flashing, not throughout the whole day, just during school zone time.
No, they completely canceled the program.
Okay, they canceled it, okay. And I read a couple other articles too, and Charlotte County, they had to go out and they had to buy all new signage because it wasn't signed properly, and people were complaining about, hey, I got this ticket, I didn't know. I knew it was a school zone, but I didn't know that they were monitoring us via cameras. So it got into a lot of controversy back and forth. But my biggest reason that I cannot support this is right now we're going to be widening Price Boulevard. We're gonna be rerouting a lot of these people up and down Salford, Cranberry, all over the different places. They're not gonna know the areas that they're in or what the speed zones are. And I think it's gonna create an undue burden on a lot of the citizens until we get this Price Boulevard done first. So that's where I'm at on this, and I'm sorry I can't support you at this time.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. You know, it's an interesting issue because on the one hand, you know, as commissioners and as a city, our highest priority is safety of our residents, especially our children. And anything that does that can't be a bad thing. You know, I don't think it escapes any of us here or any of those people who are listening or may listen later that traffic is a real issue in our city. People speed all over the place. They run stop signs. They don't use their signals. I mean, traffic is a nightmare in this city. And it's not just this city, it's every city. So the idea of putting in these cameras and controlling speed without having to have a police officer sitting in a vehicle or standing on a street corner, on every street corner everywhere, I think is a good thing. You can argue also that, after all, it can't be a money grab if people just simply obeyed the speed limit and didn't break the law, then there wouldn't be any fines and nobody'd be making any money, but the place would be a hell of a lot safer than it is right now. So there's a lot to be said for doing this. And I was 100% supportive, but listening to concern of my fellow commissioners regarding what we're going through with Price, you know, that is a concern. And the fact that we will be routing people all over the place, the fact that do we need to jump from nothing to the entire day, so to speak, or could this be piecemealed in? Could we start this process with running these cameras during the morning and the afternoon periods when kids are coming and going from school, and allow that process to play out for a period of time until such time as, one, you know, we see how it's working, and two, you know, Price Boulevard widening moves on along. Maybe there's a stretch that should be exempted from this, but there is no doubt that this changes people's behavior, not just in Manatee County and in the reference area this gentleman was speaking to, but I know there was just on the news today in counties north of us. I mean, 80% is what that number is. That's how much of a reduction there is in speed and violations with these systems. I mean, these are safe. They are going to save lives. They're going to save accidents. There is no doubt about that. Yes, it will cause some inconvenience. It will cause some educational issues. You know, I'd be a whole lot more supportive in piecemealing this in and doing it during the key hours and perhaps looking at the area of Price that's being worked on as to whether or not we need to do it there with all the additional chaos going on. But, you know, I think there's a middle ground somewhere. I think this is a good thing. I would not want to dismiss this out of hand, but I also would like to see it a little bit tweaked to accommodate, one, the work we have going on infrastructure-wise, and two, being a little sensitive to seeing how this process works before we cover a whole day. Because after all, I mean, the logical thing to do would be to put these cameras everywhere in the city, on every street, everywhere, and then, you know, let technology take care of ticketing people. And the city, yeah, would make a heck of a lot of money, and we'd have a lot of money to help educate people about how to drive safer, and, you know, we'd still get that $20 to the general fund, and, you know, that wouldn't be a bad thing either. But if we're gonna do it from early in the morning till the end of the day, we ought to do it everywhere in the city to make it a safer place to be. Why just in these school zones during the hours that kids aren't out on the street? So I'm thinking maybe there's a happy medium here.
I can answer that because the legislator only allowed school zone enforcement. That's the only area that you can do it.
Oh, well.
Second thing is, you know, I'm hearing what you're saying. However, I'm trying to understand and rationalize as to your context of having confused drivers driving through an area around schools and school zones being confused, but not changing their behavior. You know, at what point does public safety and the safety of children more paramount than someone that is violating the law? Ladies and gentlemen, I've gone to those houses and I've delivered death notifications. It's not a good thing. We have had children struck in school zones in this city. As your police chief, it's my job for public safety. And I'm bringing to you a tool that will help save lives, and it's documented that it will. I get it. Nobody wants to be fined, but the only people that are going to be fined are people that are violating the speed limit. If you are not violating the speed limit, meaning you're going less than 11 miles an hour over the speed limit, you're not going to get a fine. You have nothing to worry about.
Well said, Chief. Commissioner Langdon.
Thank you, Mayor. I really have to confess that I come at this issue extremely biased, and I think there's nothing more important than protecting the lives of our children. So for me, this is a no-brainer. It will be inconvenient for those people who habitually break the law in school zones. I'm going to say something very politically incorrect. Suck it up. And monitoring during the whole day to be on those streets, there is nothing better in my mind to change the behavior of people driving through school zones in those streets, to force them to obey the law when they're on that street. I mean, why let people go crazy and then have radical behavior changes when the lights are flashing? Doesn't really make sense to me. So, yeah, price is going to be a pain in the neck. There'll be people unfamiliar with streets, going down streets with school zones. To me, that's more justification for needing it now. Let there be no confusion when you're going down a street that has kids in the dark, and kids, they're not thinking about it. They're dashing into the street. They're running across the street. Drivers have to be responsible for their behavior because the kids aren't really able to do that, particularly at younger ages. For me, this is such a no-brainer. I just can't imagine not voting for it. No budget impact. People have to obey the law. They should be behaving it now. It's a shame we need something like this, but here we are.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Petro.
Thank you, Mayor. I guess I'll be repeating myself to some extent, but I do believe we want the program for the safety of kids, not a motivation for a cash grab. But the real issue is traffic, and the traffic is we are forcing people to speed with the construction of Price Boulevard because they have to take a detour and they're being late, and there's another speed limit on top of it, another speed limit. It just creates a snowball effect. I guess the ideal option would be just to stick with school zone times, speed limit, and no tickets outside of school zone time, which is in the morning and at the end. And I did read the statute. The statute does permit to choose the times, if I interpret it correctly. But my major issue is, the lack of roads. We're talking about different municipalities. For example, Sarasota. Sarasota is well developed as far as the roads, as opposed to the city of Northport. But another issue I have is automation. If we automate this program and if we go full force on all the school zones, major part of our city is being automated. Do we take into consideration to lessen the police force in our city? I mean, why are we substituting the real deal with the cameras? I mean, if someone sees the police officer, it's really intimidating to some criminals, to some extent, to everybody. If they go speed limit, they go even slower. But that's not always the case. But my real issue is take into consideration the traffic issues that we have and the construction of Price Boulevard. I guess at the first reading I was for it, but then I started to study and I started to analyze. I drove around school zones just like Commissioner Duval. I foresee a big issue with Price widening project, and at this point, I'm not supportive of this.
Ask Commissioner a question. It's directly related to his comments.
Can I respond to the Commissioner?
Let me just do something quick first. I feel compelled to ask you, Commissioner Duval, excuse me, it's getting late already, Commissioner Petro, did I hear you say that because we're slowing people up in construction zones, that we should allow them to speed through school zones to make up for that?
No, not at all.
Oh, well, please explain,
Yes,
because that's
so
what
if
I
a
heard.
person is being late and driving, or being on time and driving on Price Boulevard, and there's a one-lane construction and one lane is closed, the person has to turn around or go detouring, thus make up for his time of detouring. He might as well be speeding by 2 miles or 1 mile in the midday. And like I said, to ticket empty zones midday when kids are not outside is simply not serving its intended purpose. Logically speaking, I've been voice of reason, and I'm saying that if a person has to detour, he will most likely be speeding by 1 or 2 miles, thus get a ticket.
He won't be picked up. It's 10 miles or more.
We don't issue a citation unless you're doing 11 miles over speed.
11 miles.
Yeah, but with the Price construction, I mean, the majority rules, but I live off of Price Boulevard, so I use it every day. It's a nightmare in traffic time.
I'll use it every day. You do it once and you find a good detour for yourself after that.
Commissioner Duval.
Thank you, Mayor. I wanted to respond to.
Oh, I'm sorry, Chief, you did want to say
Sorry,
something.
Chief.
I just want to say, we don't cause people to speed because they're inconvenienced. This is about changing driver behavior. So
No,
if you
I was talking
know,
about
if you,
construction.
I understand that, but if people know that that area is under construction, that they're traveling every day to commute to and from work or whatever, they're going to know that they're going to have to alter their driving habits. I get all the complaints, just like you guys do, from our constituents about the traffic problems in this city, correct? At the same time that my budget's been cut, my personnel's been cut. I can't be everywhere. I cannot put a cop on everybody's street, and everybody in the city wants a cop on their street, and I just can't do it. I'm providing a tool, a mechanism that can help be a multiplier, a force multiplier for your police department to help keep people safe to and from those school days. I just don't understand how we're gonna make excuses of people's driving behaviors of being confused or running late because of road construction, as opposed to a small child or anybody getting run over in a school crossing area or a school crossing guard. We get a lot of complaints from the school crossing guards that they're the ones out there risking their lives, trying to stop traffic, and people are just blowing by them. Look at the stats. That's almost 5,000 violations in a school zone. At what point do we not say that's ridiculous?
Thank you, Chief. Commissioner, you were up there.
Yes, I wanted to respond to one of Commissioner Emmerich's comments. He was concerned about signage and flashers. If you look at the agreement with Red Speed, item 28 on page 22 says, Red Speed, at the direction of the city, will install and maintain any required signage, including flashers. So that's covered through the agreement. And secondly, and this is just a personal thing, in one of my past lives, I drove a big truck. For anyone who doesn't know what a big truck is, that's what professional tractor trailer drivers call their vehicles, big trucks. And part of the training for that was, as you drive down the street, you identify any possible hazards. It could be two kids waiting on a corner for a school bus. It could be, oh, I see a sign that might turn on. I see a stale green light. The idea is to identify hazards. Unfortunately, not everyone in our city is a professional driver. And they have habits that they've just built up through the years. No matter whether the speed limit on Price was at 20 miles an hour in the morning or if it was at 45, to have 4,500 violations over 5 days, that's over 1,000 a day. And that's just plain dangerous. And it should be changed. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Yeah, I mean, good conversation here, but when the day is done, you know, the chief couldn't have made it any clearer for people to realize that no amount of inconvenience, okay, no inconvenience, confusion, whatever you want to call it, should take a priority to the safety of our citizens, especially our children. I mean, you know, bottom line is, if everybody followed the law, this would be a different place, it would be a different country, but it isn't. It is what it is. And to see how these systems work, and they do work, you're talking average of 70 to 80% reduction in violations, okay? This will drastically alter the way people drive through the city, knowing that they're going to get nailed if they exceed the speed limit. And if you don't want to pay the fine, don't speed, don't break the law. So, I mean, you know, there's no way I can wrap my head around not supporting this, even though I see that there will be some challenges and people will complain, which is, you know, the nature of things. I get it. But if it saves one life, if it saves one accident, it is well worth it. So, you know, that's, unless commissioners, anybody else has got anything to say, I think we might have some public commenters on this one.
Christina Smith. In reference to the proposal for school zone speed cameras 25-2449, firstly, the numbers presented for the data collected are clearly inflated based on the entire school day, not just the posted school zone hours that the lights are flashing. As someone who lives next to and drives through both school zones at Toledo Blade Elementary and has taken a high schooler to school multiple times this school year, I can confidently say that the numbers are being skewed in this presentation. So what's the full breakdown? There are not 4,500 people driving 10 miles per hour over the speed limit during those school zone posted times on Price in a 5-day period. Both Price and Genan are like parking lots because of people abiding by the active school zone speed limit. And there is a police officer posted at Price, as there should be at every school zone. Outside the posted school zone hours, the roadways are like any other and should be patrolled by the Northport Police Department that the city employs. Why would the cameras be tracking during the entirety of the scheduled school session like the agenda materials state if the kids are in school, otherwise outside those posted school zone times? This isn't about the kids' safety, rather a money grab, plain and simple, disguised as something for the benefit of the kids. And who's really benefiting from this? I am not entirely opposed to a camera during the limited school zone times only, but then again, the administrative work that this will lead to is going to be more cumbersome than keeping a police presence during school zone posted times and regular boots on the ground patrolling the city, otherwise the remainder of the school day. Thank you. In person, we have Debbie McDowell and Jill Luke.
Good evening again. So I sat and listened to first reading when I was driving to work. And first reading was all about the kids' safety. So is this really for school zone cameras? Are they really for the safety of the kids? Or is it to catch speeders during the entire school day when the kids are already in school? The presentation shows that the Northport Police Department will receive $44 from the ticket that's being written. Only using the 5-day study slide, it shows that there were over 14,700 potential violators going 10 miles over the speed limit. That would result in $646,000 to the Northport Police Department. $646,000 is a lot of money. During the budget, it was established the Northport Police Department is very short-staffed. How much Northport support staff time will be needed for this new program? How much will the city be paying the hearing officer to address all those that challenge these tickets? Granted, these costs will be paid for from the fines collected, but what are the total costs? You know the revenue side, the $44, but what's missing is the cost side. Once again, you don't have all the data to be able to make an informed decision. Whatever the net revenue will be, it will be a very large sum of money, which brings me to my next point. Will this revenue supplement the Northport Police Department, or will it be in place of what's already budgeted? It's a huge difference. One enhances the Northport Police Department, and the other one is just a shell game for general fund projects. A similar thing took place in the late 80s when the state supposedly wanted to allocate the new lottery proceeds to supplement the state's budget to fund public education. Turned out the lottery proceeds were reduced, so the state's contribution to education was reduced. Just vote no. There seems to be way more of a hassle than it's worth, and it's definitely not for the safety of the kiddos. And I saw the city manager shake his head when I said that the expense side was not shared and that they're not going to be making a lot of money. We don't know that because it's not in the backup.
Jill Luke, a citizen of Northport. To me, you guys are to be looking at a compromise to come up to fit the safety of our children. And according to the House bill, it looks like you can regulate it during just the hours of school. And so to me, that compromise is you fix it so that it only works during those hours. Yes, it will save some cost of the officers being there if this is done. So to me, it's not difficult. I agree with Chief. If they're speeding, they're speeding. If they're 11 miles over, but we don't have to have it out there all day long. And as the public commenter made electronically, that skews what we're looking at. And so it's brought for the safety of the kids. It's the school zones we're looking at, and so it needs to be only done during those hours, and that's the compromise that you need to come up with. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, commissioners. So, anybody else have anything to say here? Anybody want to offer up a motion of any sort?
I'd be honored to.
Laura?
I move to approve the agreement by and between the City of Northport, Florida and Red Speed Florida LLC for speed detection camera systems for school zones.
I'll second that.
Got a motion by Commissioner Langdon, seconded by Commissioner Duval to approve the agreement by and between the City of Northport and Red Speed Florida for speed detection camera systems for school zones. Let us vote. And that passes 3-2 with Commissioner Petro and the Vice Mayor dissenting. Anything to that, gentlemen?
Nope, reason stated.
No, as I said before.
Okay. Moving on, let's see. Yeah, why don't we, at 7:41, let's take a break till 8 o'clock, then we'll pick it up with presentations, the utility rate analysis presentation.
Place it out. What should they place out? What's the right thing? What's the wrong thing?
Basically, Frank, anything that doesn't fit in the container that's garbage is going to go curbside. We're going to stay off driveways. What's not accepted is tires, chemicals, stuff like that. You can put yard waste out. That's considered bulk, but just make sure it's separate from the garbage pile. Yard waste is a separate pickup.
So what happens if I use all my bulk pickups already?
Good question. So you can have more, but you just have to pay. It's going to be $16.50 a cubic yard, and that's length times width times height divided by 27 is 1 cubic yard.
Any questions? Of course, let us know. Give us a call, 941-240-8050.
Water in a swale, that's kind of the ditch by your house, is not flooding. After a storm event, water should be in that swale up to 72 hours after the storm. That allows the water to be filtered, to get the stuff that came off our roofs and off the road out of the water so that when it reaches the habitat, it no longer has those contaminants in it. It also provides an opportunity to slow down water so that the water doesn't go so fast that it erodes the roadways or any other infrastructure. So when you see water in a swale, if it's only been, up to 72 hours since the last rain, that is not flooding, that is doing its job.
I'm Stacey Losio. I'm the emergency manager for the City of Northport, and today we're going to discuss storm surge and flooding and how both of those affect Northport during a hurricane. So storm surge is when strong, sustained winds are constantly blowing over a long period of time over the Gulf and pushing water up onto shore. So when that happens, there is a lot of flooding and beach erosion along the beaches and the homes inland. However, the storm surge can also push water up the river. So it could push storm surge up the Myakka River, for instance, from the Gulf, and then the water coming downstream from the river has nowhere to go. So that can cause water to back up along the rivers and cause flooding. That, along with a lot of rain that comes from these hurricanes, can also cause an increase of water flooding into the rivers and into our water management systems, causing flooding as well. Public Works does a lot of work before the storm to make sure that our water levels are as low as possible so we can handle additional storm surge and flooding in our water systems. If you want additional information about that, we have a great video about our water control structures, and you can visit the Public Works website.
Hello everyone, my name is Devon Poulis. I'm the aquatics manager within our Parks and Recreation Department. We're here today at the Northport Aquatic Center just to talk to everyone about our Float for Life program. We recognize that nationally, unintentional drowning is the leading cause of death for children that are under the age of 4. So we have an awesome program here called Float for Life. Float for Life is a program that we teach that starts with the fundamentals of floating before we actually learn swimming. This program is targeted for those children that ages 6 months to 4, and what we want them to do is we want them to get comfortable in the water, and if they accidentally fall in the water or find themselves in a trouble situation, they can roll over their back and float. When we launched this program, we were the only one in the state that was actually teaching this milestone program. So I want to give a shout out to our Northport Rotary as well, who sponsored this program here at the Aquatic Center and actually paid for a trainer to come in all the way from Nebraska, where this program originates there. We practice and we go through what's called milestones here. So as soon as the kids progress through the milestones, we can continue moving on through them. And at the end of it, it's a pretty awesome program when they graduate. It's one of the final things that they do is they jump in fully clothed, and they have to turn over, roll over on their back, and actually be able to scream for help at that point in time. It's just an awesome segment program that leads right into our Learn to Swim program, so that way we can make sure we're keeping our kids safe in, on, and around the water.
Stacey Locio. I'm the Emergency Management Coordinator for the City of Northport, and we're going to talk about why it's important to have a go kit and what should go inside of it. It's important to have a go bag because if you wait last minute to pack, there are definitely going to be items that you're going to forget in the scramble to get everything put together. So it's important to have your documents such as IDs, insurance paperwork, titles for your home and your vehicles and your boats, just so that if your home does flood or your roof blows off, all those documents are with you and they're safe, because you don't want to end up losing those and having to try to replace those later on. Also in your go bag, you should think about what medications you might need to have ahead of time. If we're under a state of emergency, you are able to refill your prescriptions ahead of time, even if they're not due yet. So it's important to do that. Also in your go bags, you should have non-perishable food, flashlight, batteries, a radio that is battery powered and extra batteries. Should all power go out, we will be able to broadcast on 97.5 FM, any emergency information. So be sure to have your battery powered radio ready and tuned in to 97.5.
believe that the Natural Resources Department will be an integral part for the city's growth, as we want to achieve a more balanced approach of development in the future.
What we really want to do is see sensible development, sustainable development, and development that is in line with what we already have here. So we want to preserve as much as we can of the natural resources, so there is still place for our natural species, our migrating birds, and all the other species that live and survive in our habitat.
Natural systems are a big part of the ways ecosystems function, an important part for our community, our listed species. They stabilize the soil, they provide so many different benefits, including shade, limiting the heat island effect within our city, providing habitat, providing shelter for these species, and just also for our aesthetic enjoyment.
Well, as an arborist, a lot of what I do is making sure that development conforms to the tree protection code. So one thing we already have in place since April of 2022 is a tree protection code, which is quite robust in the city of Northport, that was adopted by Commission and the city through also a lot of community involvement. And so we're very happy to have that tree protection code. So a lot of what I do is making sure that development, either residential or commercial, conforms to that code.
We are such a passionate team. We come from varied backgrounds. I think between us we have over 100 years of experience, and we are every day raring to go, and we know our work is cut out here, and we're happy to take the challenge.
Through the division and community involvement and leadership in the city, we really hope to make great strides in protecting what we have here and finding that balance with development and environmental stewardship.
I am excited to be a part of this team, and I'm really seeking and looking forward to the opportunities for us to be able to make a difference.
I started with Charlotte County Utilities as a meter reader in 2004.
So that's kind of where I got my foot in the door. Then once I reached a point in my life where things were more stable, I decided to leave Charlotte County Utilities, and I went and got my insurance license. It was very exciting doing that for a short period of time. But after a while, I started thinking about the utility. It was in my heart. At this point, I had almost 12, just 2 months shy of 12 years in. And so I realized during that time, my heart was in utilities. And so I started looking around again. I seen an opening here to be a C&D tech. So I applied and I got in. Typically I get here at 7 in the morning. I get my list of, if I can get to this is what I need to do. And I get in my truck. If I need any supplies, parts, tools based off of the work I was given that morning, I'll pick that up here at our shop. And then I head out and my goal for the day is just to get as much work as that was assigned to me done as possible. And sometimes that happens, and other times there's a lot of first response calls that come in. My favorite part is the uniqueness. It's not knowing what I'm going to be faced with every day. It could be different. It's not mundane in any way. And it's exciting when you get a call and you're on your way and you don't know what it is, and you have the experience and the know-how and the backing to face whatever it's going to be. So I feel very confident in facing these calls, and I think that's my favorite part.
Hello, my name is Devon Poulis. I'm the Aquatics Facilities Manager with the City of Northport, and today we're going to be talking with you guys about our free swim evaluation. It's important that we do these swim evaluations so as kids are registering for swim programs, they get placed in the right class. What we're looking at when we're doing the swim evaluation is every swim level has what's called exit skill assessments. So what we do is we have your child get in the water and we'll go through a series of different movements. Can you go under the water? Can you show us your front crawl? Can you show us back crawl? Can you show us elementary backstroke? Different strokes within there, and what we're doing is we're trying to see where your child tests to before it becomes a challenge for them at that point. Once we assess that, then we'll let you know, and you can go ahead and sign your child up for that appropriate level there. It's important that we have these so that way when we're teaching a level 1, we don't have kids that should be potentially in a level 2 and a level 1 class because they're not learning the appropriate skills that they need at that point in time. Right now, when we're in full summer operations, we ask that people come between 8 and 10 to do the swim evaluations, just as you can hear the water splashing in the background, slides and everything like that. But any day of the week that we're open, you can come in at any point in time and ask for a swim evaluation. We always have a certified swim instructor on site that can have your child take a swim assessment.
Frank Lama, Solid Waste Manager. I am here today with Mario Venditti. Mario, tell people here how long you've been doing this job.
I've been here 5 years.
5 years, excellent, excellent.
Yep.
So, Mario, tell people what it entails, what you do.
I'm a planner scheduler for solid waste at the city, and I go around and I greet the new residents and I educate them on the recycle.
Excellent, sounds interesting, very good.
Yep.
So, Mario, what do you find inside the recycling bins that shouldn't be there? So let's try to tell the people how to recycle right.
Well, the most common thing I find, Frank, is plastic bags.
Okay.
So the plastic bags are not recyclable. I find them just tossed in the container, or they bag the recycle with them.
Right.
And they shouldn't.
This is inside the blue lid container.
That's
correct?
right, inside the blue lid containers.
Correct.
And they should be either taken back to the grocery store or tossed in the trash.
Very good. Do you see a lot of recycling inside the containers?
I do,
bags?
yes.
Oh,
I come across a lot of that.
okay, we don't want to do that, so. Okay, so if you have any questions, you can always look at our website, www.northportflorida.gov/solid waste.
Welcome to the brand new Northport Podcast Network. We're so excited to introduce you to our revamped lineup of shows, created to keep you connected, informed, and inspired about everything happening in our city.
That's right. With 3 unique shows under one network, there's something for everyone.
First up is Northport Now. Madison and I will rotate hosting this fast-paced, news-driven podcast to bring you the latest city updates, event previews, and important information, all in one quick listen.
Think of it as your weekly guide to staying in the know about what's happening in Northport.
Next, we have Northport Stories. Laura and I will share heartfelt and inspiring tales from around our community, stories that showcase the people, places, and moments that make our city special.
And don't worry, Voices of Northport isn't going anywhere. I'll continue bringing you even more personal stories and interviews with residents who shaped our city.
And last but not least, Northport Living. Cody and I will also rotate hosting this show, which is all about tips, events, and lifestyle ideas to help you make the most of life right here in Northport.
Whether you're looking for family-friendly activities, ways to get involved, or helpful home and garden tips, Northport Living has you covered.
With breaking news, heartfelt stories, or practical tips, the Northport Podcast Network is your go-to source for all things Northport.
Make sure to subscribe to the Northport Podcast Network wherever you listen, and join us as we celebrate.
Welcome back, everybody. Moving on, presentations. 25-2738 utility rates analysis presentation. City Manager, your item to introduce, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We do have a presentation by our Interim Utilities Department Director, Ms. Tricia Wisner. Thank you.
Oh, my presentation is actually missing. Give me 1 second to get my disk. Picked it up this morning. Well, I apologize for the delay. Glad I had a backup. I'm Tricia Wisner, Interim Utilities Director, here today with Assistant Directors Bracefield and Bulu, and also Brian Mance, who is with our consultant company, GovRates, that was nice enough to help us with this rate analysis. So the Utilities Department is an essential service. We provide clean water and clean wastewater 24/7, 365. The top priority is public health, and there are many regulatory agencies, including the Florida Department of Environmental Protection, SWIFMUD, Department of Health, EPA, and all of these regulatory agencies provide strict expectations that we need to meet with permits. We are an enterprise fund, which means the money that we use to operate comes directly from customers that receive the benefit from those services. So not all residents within the city are water and wastewater residents, so they do not pay into this. So we currently provide service to about 27,000 water accounts and 21,000 wastewater accounts. The utility is an out of sight, out of mind thing, but it has about $315 million worth of infrastructure hidden in places that you never think to look. With all that infrastructure, it takes a lot of money to upkeep, and infrastructure expansions are expensive. So as we talk through this, we're going to talk about infrastructure and capital improvement projects. If we took that $315 million and tried to build the exact same thing now, it would be much more expensive because a lot of this was built over many years. And the Utilities Department has to be mindful of emergencies. So we're not only building and preparing for daily service, we need to build in redundancies and think about what happens when we have impacts from storms or emergencies so that we can continue to provide services and or get up and running quickly. Now we're going to be looking at some ugly infrastructure that's just part of this kind of a story, but I wanted to take one quick second and say that these pictures that you're going to see are the results of decisions made due to competing resources and competing priorities. They do not reflect on the staff of the utility team. I wanted to point out that they have been virtual nomads for the last 3 years. They have worked under changing leadership, regulations, they've brought on new facilities, and they continue to do an outstanding job. But we have a treatment plant that's over 50 years old. We have a wastewater treatment plant that's 40 years old. There's substantial portions of the water and wastewater mains that were installed in the 80s. And after we went through and really tried to pare down the CIP, we're at $276 million for the next 10 years. Now, this is primarily driven by master plans that came through, looked at our infrastructure, looked at what the regulations are expected to be, and gave us ideas as to what it's going to cost to maintain the current system. So again, some additional ugly pictures of infrastructure. It is out of sight, out of mind. We continue to work to keep the infrastructure operating as long as possible. There's a lot of work and resources that go in to maintain this, but we're in a caustic environment with a lot of chemicals. The weather in Florida is not nice to outside things of this nature, so no matter how much work we put into this, there's going to be issues with rust and corrosion. And as you're well aware, we've had a couple conversations already. The city is, well, not officially under a consent order. We're still working through the final stages of a consent order with FDEP due to unauthorized discharges of reclaimed water from the Pan American Wastewater Treatment Facility. And we have that $17 million effluent pump project that we've talked a lot about. We'll be talking about that some more here with funding opportunities that we've discussed. So here's some more infrastructure that shows corrosion and age. And the longer we defer, the more expensive it becomes, and the more we have to go back to those ratepayers. Because again, as we all know, we are unable to borrow to disperse that over years. So looking at our capital improvement project, this differs slightly from the capital improvement project that you saw through the budget process because our team took a lot of time to really vet through these projects and try to reduce that capital as much as possible. We know that the cost of capital is one of those big burdens that happens for our ratepayers. So we were very mindful of what the capital looked like. There are some projects that are slightly funded by surtax, but the vast majority of the CIP for utilities is funded by those fees that we receive from our customers. But when you're looking at this, we have that administration building, that's a high driving factor. We had some Price Boulevard utility improvements. We have the influent pump station. Most of those things are just to keep us operating. These are not for growth. These are not for expansion. These are not high hopes for somebody building out an AC 6 and 10. This is just to keep the current service going. So when we're looking at the capital program funding options, the first hurdle is always the fact that we are unable to borrow. So without being able to issue debt, that means that we are a pay-as-you-go utility. We have been coordinating efforts, like we mentioned previously, with West Villages Improvement District for the SRF. This CIP, although it was on the previous sheet, it did remove that $17 million from our final calculations, but just put back in the debt service. So, you know, everything will cost money, even the debt service, but that helps us put it out over so many years. We're still unsure if we will be able to get that SRF with West Villages, but we're doing everything possible in order to find additional funding. And also, this does talk a little bit, like I mentioned on the last slide, that there is some surtax in here. This surtax was previously funded. This is not a request for new surtax. So some of the problems that we face, we just talked about capital. The other side of the equation is operating. We have limited control over operating expenses, chemicals, electricity, parts. They live their own life. You hear about it all the time. We're at the market's control on all of those items, and they're very significant to the utility. So a change in the price of chemicals, we use chemicals all day, every day. it ripples through greatly through the pricing. Florida is still outpacing national average on a lot of these things. We're hoping the market cools down. Another problem that we've had is finding really good employees. Over the past few months, the utilities team has worked really, really hard, but we had over a 22% vacancy rate that we're working on trying to reduce. We're having a hard time based upon how competitive the market is for skilled trades workers. Another difficult thing for the utility department is we don't get to make a lot of the decisions ourselves. So if DEP decides one day that you have to reinvest X percent and we didn't have that forecasted, we have to figure out how to reinvest X percent. We need to figure out how to meet these regulations regardless of whether or not we were prepared for them. And so as these things change and we're dealing with permanent cost increases, our only option is to go back to the ratepayers to talk through this. Now here is an example, an expert of all of our really large increases to show where some of these costs are driving from. Repairs and maintenance is up 66%. Chemicals is up 39%. These are things that we're unable to manage. They're costs that we have to pass on. So looking at this, forecasting forward, looking at the increased operating costs and the increased capital, we're recommending a 10% increase for the water and for the wastewater service. So you'll see that the increase will result for 2026 in $10.82 for the family that has water and wastewater per month. And for the family that has water service only, it's $4.52. But if you look at the cost per gallon, that really kind of brings it back home. When you think about going to get those bottles of water you might get at the store, a cost per gallon of water from the utility is 1.7 cents with this increase. Water and wastewater is 4 cents. And it really still falls in line with what is expected and considered affordable by the EPA. So the EPA is saying that anything less than 4.5% of medium household average income is appropriate. So we're at 1.6 to 1.9%. This is a comparison of where Northport is compared to comparable cities. So we're here at 108.7, that's for water and wastewater per month. With these changes, we'd be at 118.89. So we are at the higher side of this spectrum. However, all of these names that have these blue boxes around them, at the time we completed this, we're evaluating their rates. We anticipate that their rates also went up, so this is probably not an accurate representation of where exactly we fall in the mix. Another really important thing to look at is that while we like to compare ourselves to other municipalities or similar services, there's so many variables that will change how we operate. The size of the customer base. So if you're spreading your cost over 100,000 people compared to 27,000 people, obviously your rates can change. If your houses are very close together, you don't need as much infrastructure in between the houses and the plants, so your costs would be less. If you've been keeping up with your capital improvements or you've been deferring them down the road and they've kind of grown in the dark and got more and more expensive, that's one of the things that would be very different between these municipalities. The source of water is really a driving factor. So clean water that's coming from a great source would require less chemical treatment, less electricity, where water that might need more treatment would cost more. So as we look at the differences between the municipalities, while we have a chart that shows where we are, it's never really an apples to apples comparison. So the next part of the discussion, we talked about the fees. This is the capacity fee. This is the second part. This is not your monthly bill. This is like when you first connect to a utility, what does this look like? And that fee is to help make sure that there's room in the plant and room in the system for whatever it is that you're bringing online so that we can make sure we can serve the water going in and the water coming out. They're called equivalent residential connections. So one residential connection is one ERC, but if you're building maybe a multifamily, it would be a magnitude or multitude of those ERCs depending upon what kind of impact that development would have on the system. Currently, we're at a total of $4,574. We are looking to increase that by $2,081. And if you look at the same kind of comparison that I showed you before, while we go up the scale again, we're still within the normal, the average range. And if you look at this note, the city of Groveland in a different part of Florida has a combined water and wastewater capacity charge of $13,920. So this chart is not representing the highs and lows of the state, it's representing nearby communities. We're nowhere near the high for the state. An additional section is our fee schedule. Those are kind of the other charges. You'll be seeing those this meeting as well. So we've looked through those other charges and are trying to make sure that the services that we provide are covered for in those charges. And when you look through that ordinance, you'll see where it calls out that the rate study evaluated it to make sure that we're covering our costs. One of the things to point out though is that reclaimed water rate is proposed to increase over the next 3 years from 74 cents to $1.21 per 1,000 gallons. And then the bulk rate, that's the rate that goes to West Villages for that same 1,000 gallons, is looking to go from 34 cents to 91 cents. That was really a change based upon the calculation of chemicals. So what if this is not supported? What happens to us? Well, this rate increase really only provides an average of $3.5 million of revenue after we look at the increases that are expected for operations. So we'll have the operational changes covered and have about $3.5 million additional to put towards the CIP that we need to keep working on. It is not a silver bullet. It does not clear up all of our problems, but it does get us on the right path so that we can project our CIP out, build that pay-as-you-go money, and start to work on those projects. Without this revenue, we'll have to further change up our CIP. We've deferred our CIP quite a bit just to get to the funding for Price, for the Fluent Pump Station, and for the administration building, and to get these fees to someplace where we all felt were palatable. You can see from the pictures, we don't have a lot of deferred time left in a lot of these infrastructure items. So our recommendations are to adopt proposed user rate increases. This again will help with the operational expenses and the CIP. Adopt the capacity fees that we talked about. Adopt those miscellaneous fees. So the miscellaneous fees and the capacity fees, or the user rates, will be coming in the next item on this commission, which is 2025-R-66. The capacity fees, and they'll be coming in another date, and then we have the other fees are 2025-30, which is an ordinance on this commission meeting as well. This proposal is for 3 years, but what does that mean? So every year we're going to continue to look for grants. Every year we're going to continue to look for technology that can help. We're going to look for ways that we can expand our customer base. There's trade-offs because that costs money too. Expand our customer base so that we can bring in more revenue. Every year we're going to look for developer agreements or alternate ways to fund these items that we need to help make this a successful utility. This is for a 3-year, however, it will come back to you in budget cycle again next year. And we will continue to monitor those financial results and make sure that this plan is on target. And in 3 years, we'll have another rate analysis to make sure that we were still on target and come back for more discussion. So like I said, I do have a great team here and we're ready to answer any questions.
Commissioners. Vice Mayor.
Yeah, I got a question. Very nice presentation. It was very thorough. I really enjoyed it. The 10%, is that 10% each year for the next 3 years?
Yes, that is the proposal.
Okay, that's what I want to make sure. On on one of your slides, you were talking about what your breakdown was on your costs, and salaries were going up 33%. I believe it was like from 5 to 7 or whatever. Is that because of your annual increases, or is that because you're so short-staffed right now, you're hoping to become whole again by that time?
We actually had originally asked for 5 new staff for next year, but because we can't hire, we dropped that down to 3. It's really just to keep up with the changes in the market and with the union costs that came through, because the utilities team, a large portion wasn't union previously, so now they are part of the collective bargaining agreement, which came with some increases as well.
Sure, and I can understand that. I was just curious about that, because that's an awful high number, you know, especially when we're talking salaries, so I just wanted to get that on the record, so thank you very much. That's all I had, Mayor.
Commissioner Langdon.
Thank you. Trish, you mentioned that if the increases don't go through, staff will have to take another pass at this list. What do you anticipate would not get done? And I understand they all need to be done yesterday.
So the biggest thing would be these kinds of things. We would not be addressing some of the wastewater and water treatment plant items that are part of the master plan. Now, these have already been deferred a little bit, but we would, kick the can and put the Band-Aids on.
What's the risk of that?
There's a significant risk. There's the risk of not being able to be compliant with regulatory agencies. We already have seen that we're facing a consent order. If we continue to hope rather than ensure our system will operate at the regulatory limits and expectations, we will find ourselves in situations where we'll also have obligations placed upon us that might be more expensive than if we were to plan for them appropriately. Also, we might get to the point where we are not allowed to support additional development. If our plant cannot meet the needs of what is coming online, we could be told to stop.
Thank you.
Commissioner Petro.
Well, thank you, Mayor. I have a question on the slide that says impacts if increase is not supported. Is that 3.5 only from rate increase, not capacity rates? Is that correct?
It is just the user rates for the water and the wastewater, so for those two combined. And this is actually after the increasing in operating, or the operating costs that we see coming. So this is kind of the net average amount that would come to us if the 10% is approved.
And how much is capacity amount would be in dollar value added to 3.5?
And that's a hard one because that is based upon not a set number of people. It's based upon what kind of growth it is. And I don't believe I have that number in front of me. Do you guys have that?
Or estimated, or?
Give us a minute, we'll
Sure.
see. Apologize, I don't have that in front of me.
I want to, for the record, Brian Mance from GovRates. I want to say that we'd probably get about get 20% more capacity fee revenue. So I want to say that's, I think last year or something we had maybe $1 million of capacity fees, so maybe maybe $200,000 more.
Okay.
And an assumed increase in the capacity fees is built into the financial forecast. So this the recommended user rates do assume the adoption of the capacity fees and the additional capacity fee revenues to help pay for this rate and financial plan.
Okay. That leads me to this question. How much do you estimate the revenue from rate increase to be allocated to keep with the current service versus CIP projects?
So when we're looking at the rate increase, if we just looked at our revenue, so our revenue is projected to be about $45 million. So if you just take 10%, it's about $4.5 million. However, due to the increased expenses that are projected for next year, we anticipate that really only about $1.5 to $2 million will be available to go towards CIP. The second year, we're looking at about $3.5 million, and then the fourth year, we're right around $4.5 million. So averaging that out over the 3 years that we're talking about, it's about $3.5 million per year that would go towards CIP.
And what about the continuing justification of operating expenses to be justified?
That is calculated within what I just said. So the first thing we look at is how much is it going to cost to keep this running the way it needs to run based upon what we know for regulatory and what we can project for chemicals and electricity. And, we reach out to FPL, we find out how much they're expecting to go up, and we take all of those numbers together, we look at our current operations, and that's where we come up with that operating cost. So those operating costs have been projected to increase over the next few years. So that I don't have a percentage as to what those are increasing off the top of my head, but maybe they're 3%, 4%, 5%. If you're doing a 10% increase and only 1 or 2% of that is going back to capital, you know that the in-between was eaten up by operating, if that makes sense. So we're looking to outpace the operating increases by a little bit so we can start to stack that money for our CIP.
Yes, I guess the next question would be, how much can we do to fund the CIP? That would be my final question.
So the 10% provides us that 3.5 to help fund the CIP. Really wouldn't recommend more than a 10% increase. So, we looked at this quite a bit. Our options are decreased level of service. There's not really room to decrease level of service in a water or wastewater utility. We have to meet regulatory expectations, and our residents would be really upset if we told them they couldn't flush the toilet during 10 to noon or whatever it is. So there's really not a level of service option there. We look for the best price for chemicals, electricity. We look for staffing optimization. So all the work that's done to mitigate the increase in operating is a day-to-day thought process. We search for grants, we search for partnerships. So those are the things that can help bolster the funds that are available for CIP without just going to the ratepayers.
And that brings me to this question. Fluoride, it costs probably an enormous amount of money. Now, with the recent legislature that was passed,
we don't add fluoride to the water.
We don't, never
sir.
had?
No, there is some naturally occurring fluoride in Florida water, but we are not adding fluoride to the water.
So we never had it?
I don't believe we ever had it. I can tell you as of this point, we do not do it.
Mike Willow, Assistant Utilities Director. Yes, we do not. We have never added fluoride. Most of the fluoride that is naturally occurring is through the Peace River, and with our interconnects through Peace River, and if we take water from Peace River, there are small traces of fluoride, which is well below the MCL for fluoride in our system.
So it's below the...
We are well below that, yes. It's just small traces. It'll pick up on a sample, but it's well below the contaminant level that's identified by the EPA.
I'm on the well, so that's why I'm asking these questions. I guess that the recent legislature was that we are the second state in the U.S. that bans fluoride, or was it fluoride?
Yeah, fluoride, correct. Yeah, we do not use fluoride. We do not add it. We never have.
Okay. Thank you.
Right. Well, if there was ever a good example of what can happen when you neglect your capital projects and kick the can down the road year after year after year after year after year, you can't figure out how to raise the money to do it because you're restricted and don't have the ability to borrow. This is what you're faced with. $276 million worth of capital projects. Even at $3.5 million, which may be generous towards capital projects, to accomplish this list you have up here would, take it 30-plus years at that pace, even compounding the investment of that $3.5 million to get to, if you backed out wastewater expansion and some of the things we've already got money allocated for, you're about $135 million, $140 million. If you take that number at $3.5 million a year, them's a lot of years before we can pay for all this stuff. So if you could do me just one favor, pull up the budget chart, because I had a question on, I know that the general fund cost allocation, obviously, there's a support expense that goes along with, supporting our departments. Could you speak a little to this number? Because for somebody who looks at it and doesn't, it shows over a 2-year period, a 90% increase. That's a healthy increase. Just explain a little what it is so people understand it, including myself.
So there is a formula behind that, and the active CIP is a heavy portion of that formula, and we do have a couple large CIP projects going right now, but I'll let the new finance director come and speak to that.
Hello again, Irina Kucharenka. So our current cost allocation methodology is taking into account all of the administrative functions like, let's say, IT, finance, legal costs. All of those costs are taken into account, and then we allocate proportionally to various funds because utilities have to pay for it, and drainage and waste or drainage, road and drainage have to pay for it. So all of those funds have to pay for the administrative costs because we are serving them. Finance is processing bills for utilities and things like that. So the cost allocation increase that you're seeing is reflective of the growth of the city, right? So the administrative budgets have increased, the budget of the city has increased, and so those administrative costs have increased as well. But there is a delay, 2-year delay in our current methodology. Part of it is maybe why you're seeing such a huge increase between 2024 and 2026. But we're also planning to look at that current cost allocation methodology and make sure that what we're currently doing, we would like to continue because there are different ways how you can allocate administrative costs.
Okay, can you bring that budget back up again? So, okay.
It's there.
And Florida retirement system, 95% jump. Like, why did that happen? I don't recall us experiencing that everywhere. I mean, I know it's I know it's not anything we could do in it,
Yeah.
but just to explain why.
Right. That specific line, there has been a change in GASB, how we treat, back in 2024, how we treated the retirement, how we have to report the retirement on our financial statements. That's what you're seeing there. There was a change in our GASB prescribed financial statement treatment of the retirement system.
Gotcha. Appreciate it. And then if you just bring back up the projects list. Pretty challenging looking set of projects there. You know, and it's a catch-22 a little too, because the neighborhood water, wastewater line extensions, that helps us by broadening our customer base and generating more revenue back into the system. But unless we make the kinds of investments into that expansion, we come up short. And lo and behold, where is it we always seem to suck a few dollars out of when something else becomes a priority? The wastewater line extensions. So, you know, it's a horrible trap to be in. I mean, again, like all these other fees, district fees and utility, I mean, you know, Nobody wants to see these numbers go up. Nobody wants to have to pay more money for the services we get, but, I mean, we're paying for the sins of the past. I hate to say that, I really do, but we are. This stuff just was allowed to accumulate for so many years to the point where, you know, how many more years can we play roulette and roll the dice and hope that we won't have more issues like we're having at the effluent pumping station right now, because it's inevitable they're gonna happen. It's just no way they're not gonna happen. So, I mean, I don't know that there's any, it's just another sobering message that, you know, we have got to bite the bullet and address this. The one thing I would say, you know, at the risk of being repetitious over the years, is that while the cost of money is a real cost, interest and principal does have to be paid when you borrow money. The opportunity to borrow money and stretch the costs of these investments over 30-plus years going forward, not only does that number on an annual basis and tend to be incremental compared to the kind of increases we're talking about here rate-wise, but it also allows future businesses and citizens who haven't even thought about moving to the city help to pay for this, for which they are going to reap the benefit. And the way we're headed, and again, we have to work with the resources we have available and the tools and the laws we have available. We need to bite the bullet, and our current tax base, our current tax-paying citizens are bearing the burden of this and the investment it's going to take in the future to address these capital projects. It's just an inevitability. There is just no different ways to go. You can't put blinders on and pretend these projects are not necessities. And we can't borrow per se. We can find some grant money. We could perhaps go out and ask citizens on a selective basis for money to assist in some of these, but rate increases are the only thing we can do to save the money necessary to invest in this infrastructure. And as Trish said, these are not growth projects. These are projects to just simply keep the systems we've got operating properly. So there you go. Anybody else got anything on this presentation?
No, I think we killed it.
We got any public comments out there?
Others not?
And,
Thank you very much.
Trish, thank you very much. All right, we're moving on to public hearings, resolution 2025-R-66. Let's see, do I need a city clerk? You'd be kind enough to read by title only.
Resolution number 2025-R-66, a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Northport, Florida, adopting the annual utility rate schedule for private fire protection services, the annual utility rate schedule for water and wastewater guaranteed revenue charges, and the utility rate schedule for reclaimed water, the water and wastewater system base facility charges, the water system rate schedule for water usage volume, the water system rate schedule for bulk water, the wastewater system rate schedule for usage, the wastewater system flat rate schedule, the water and wastewater system deposit fee schedule, adopting automatic rate increases, providing for incorporation of recitals, providing for conflicts, providing for severability, and providing an effective date.
Thank you very much. City Manager, your item.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Utilities Department we just presented budgeted for a comprehensive rate analysis to be conducted during the fiscal year of 2025. This is best management practice. And this study was performed by an independent third-party consultant with expertise in utility rate structures. Therefore, we ask that you choose option 1 and adopt resolution 2025-R-66 as presented. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, City Manager. Commissioners, anything more to this? We discussed some of it, obviously, along with the presentation, but speaker forever holds your peace. Thing to this? Seeing nothing, City Clerk, any public comment?
There's none.
Then I'm going to close this public hearing, request a motion.
I'll make it. I move to adopt resolution number 2025-R-66 as presented.
Second.
Got a motion by Commissioner Langdon, seconded by the Vice Mayor, to adopt Resolution 2025-R-66 as presented. There's nothing more to it, folks. Let's vote. That passes 5-0. Moving on to ordinance first reading, ordinance number 2025-30. I need a motion to direct city clerk to read by title only.
So moved.
Sorry.
Got a motion by Commissioner Langdon, seconded by the Vice Mayor, to direct city clerk to read by title only. Let's vote on that. That passes 5-0. City Clerk, you're up.
Ordinance number 2025-30, an ordinance of the City of Northport, Florida, amending the Code of the City of Northport, Florida, Appendix A, City Fee Schedule, amending citywide fees, utility fees, providing for findings, providing for conflicts, providing for severability, providing for codification, and providing an effective date.
Thank you, ma'am. City Manager, your item, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Similar to the last one, but this one, just to say that this provides the Utilities Department the ability to recover the cost of providing utility services. We ask that you continue ordinance number 2025-30 to second reading on October 14, 2025 as presented.
Commissioners, anything to this one, sir? Seeing nothing, any public comment?
There is none.
Then I'm going to, what am I going to do? I guess I'll close this public hearing and request a motion.
I'll make it. Move to continue ordinance number 2025-30 to second reading on October 14, 2025.
Got a motion by the Vice Mayor, seconded by Commissioner DeVal, to continue ordinance 2025-30 to second reading on October 14, 2025. Let us vote. That passes 5-0. Resolutions 2025-R-68. This is a quasi-judicial hearing, and City Clerk, if you'd be kind enough to read by title only.
Resolution number 2025-R-68, a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Northport, Florida, vacating a portion of the side and rear drainage maintenance easements on Lot 1, Block 1478, 30th addition to Port Charlotte subdivision, providing for findings, providing for filing of approved documents, providing for severability, providing for conflicts, and providing an effective date. Can everyone wishing to provide testimony please stand and raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to provide is true and accurate to the best of your knowledge, so help you God?
Yes.
Thank you.
Very good. Ex parte communications, Commissioner Petrov. Anything?
No, well, the representative of the client reached me with a petition and I directed them to the city manager's office.
Okay, Vice Mayor?
I have none.
Mayor has none.
Commissioner Langdon has none.
Commissioner Duval has none.
All righty. Do we have any aggrieved parties?
There are none.
Okay, then we're up for presentation.
Good evening, Commissioners. Adriana Silva, Planner 2, Development Services. Tonight we'll be discussing the vacation of easement at 5644 Buckboard Street with the resolution number 2025-R-68. with the petition number PVAC 25-00953. The owners and applicants on this are Joseph Salerno and Shannon Salerno. The request is to vacate a portion of the platted rear and side 20-foot maintenance easement.
Yeah. Can you either, hang on one second, let's try to crank that mic up a little bit.
Can you hear me from if I stand there?
Yeah, try it now. Just
Okay.
speak out a little louder.
Is that better?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, okay. So, Adriana Silva, Planner 2 Development Services, we're discussing a vacation of easement at 5644 Buckboard Street. The applicants and property owners are Joseph Salerno and Shannon Salerno. The request is to vacate a portion of the platted rear and side 20-foot maintenance easements of approximately 2,200 square feet located on Lot 1 of Block 1478 of the 30th edition of the Port Charlotte subdivision. So this vacation of easement request is being submitted to allow for an increased flexibility in the use of their property. The property area in its entirety is 10,625 square feet, and the total area of the maintenance easement to be vacated is 2,200 square feet. And that is an image of the portion of the easement to be vacated. So this review process has been done as per ULDC section 2.2.17C. All of the pertinent utility providers have reviewed the request and have responded. And all responses have shown that they were approved or approved with conditions. If no response is received within 10 days, it is assumed that there is no issue with the vacation of easement. The City Public Works Department has granted approval with conditions that the property owner may only occupy 15 feet of the 20-foot easement on the north property line. This request has been reviewed in compliance with Florida Statute Chapter 177 and the ULDC Chapter 2 Development Review standards per Section 2.2.17. And staff has found that it is approved in conformance with the Florida statutes and the ULDC. The Planning and Zoning Division recommends approval of petition number PVAC 25-00953 via resolution number 2025-R-68. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. We have no other, want to rebut yourself? I guess we can move on to commissioner questions. Commissioners, anything to this item?
I just have one quick question.
Sure, Commissioner.
Mr. Mayor, could you repeat the conditions set by Public Works, please?
Yes. So the condition is that the property owner may only occupy 15 feet of the 20-feet easement that is proposed to be vacated along the north property line only.
Thank you.
Yes, you're welcome.
Is that all you had?
All I have.
Why only 15 of the 20? What is there that's sensitive in that area that is of concern?
That was, would Public Works like to comment on that? Thank you.
Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to provide is true and accurate to the best of your knowledge, so help you God?
I do. Can you bring my map back?
Thank you.
So the north end. So typically what we'll do is we'll inspect the property and we'll inspect that easement and make sure we have enough room to run our equipment through there if we have to get in.
That 5 feet will give you sufficient
That with the
with the
adjacent
utility
easement,
easement? Okay. Very good. Anything else, commissioners? Moving to closing arguments. Actually, before, we got any public comment on this? We didn't want to forget you.
Oh, I don't know if I'm doing the right thing. So hi, I'm Shannon Salerno. I just was told by my husband to come, so here I am. So I didn't know if I had to speak or just sit and wait until you made a decision. So that's all I have. It'd be nice to be able, we lost our shed during the hurricane. We just need a bigger shed now because our equipment's all outside, so it's getting ruined. So if we could get the process moving to get a shed put.
When I did the
Oh.
oath, did you raise your
Oh,
hand?
sorry.
Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to provide is true and accurate to the best of your knowledge, so help you God?
Yes, sorry, I'm nervous. I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. We just need the shed to be able to put our equipment in, like the boat, because we lost the old shed during the hurricane. So we're just gonna upgrade with the family getting bigger and get a nicer property to put our stuff in. So we need that. We know the mowers need to get through, and that's what we're just willing to take a little bit, if we could. That's it.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, sorry.
Your husband should be very proud of you. You came, you sat, you spoke, and now you're gonna sit and wait on the decision.
Well, he's
So
on his way here, so.
Great job.
Maybe he'll make it, but I did it by myself. I brought my father-in-law.
All right. Closing arguments.
None.
All right. Then I'll close this public hearing and request a motion.
I'll make it. Move to adopt resolution number 2025-R-68 with the conditions presented by the City of Northport Public Works.
Second.
Got a motion by the Vice Mayor, seconded by Commissioner Langdon to adopt Resolution 2025-R-68 as presented with the changes as noted. Let's go ahead and vote. And that passes 5-0. Moving on to resolution number 2025-R-69. It's additionally quasi judicial. City Clerk, if you'd be kind enough to read by title only.
Resolution number 2025-R-69, a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Northport, Florida, vacating the utility and drainage easement lying adjacent to the westerly line of Lot 20, Block 1159, 25th addition to Port Charlotte subdivision, providing for findings, providing for recording, providing for conflicts, providing for severability, and providing an effective date. Can everyone wishing to provide testimony please stand and raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to provide is true and accurate to the best of your knowledge, so help you God?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, ex parte communications, Commissioner Petro, anything?
None.
Vice Mayor?
Dude.
Mayor's a no.
Commissioner Langdon, a no.
Commissioner Duval, no.
All right, any aggrieved parties?
There is none.
In which case, we're on to presentations.
Thank you, Commissioners. So we will now be discussing the vacation of easement of a vacant property on Otis Street and El Paso Ave with resolution number 2025-R-69, petition number PVAC 25-00986. The owners and applicants on this application are Robert K. Wenger and Lolita Wenger. The request is to vacate the platted 10-foot utility and drainage easement, approximately 935 square feet, lying adjacent to the westerly line of Lot 20 of Block 1159 of the 25th edition of the Port Charlotte subdivision. That is the property identification number on a vacant parcel on Otis Street. Here is the map of the portion of the easement to be vacated. Robert and Lolita Wenger are making this request of a vacation of easement to allow for the construction of a new single-family residence. The subject lots are under common ownership through a unity of title. The property area in its entirety is 10,890 square feet, and the total area of the utility and drainage easement to be vacated is approximately 935 square feet. Again, this has been reviewed under ULDC standards per section 2.2.17. All utility providers have responded approval of this vacation of easement. No response is received within 10 days. It is assumed that there is no issue with the vacation of easement. And through written response, they have all granted approval. This has been reviewed and approved by staff for conformance with Florida Statutes Chapter 177 and in conformance with ULDC Chapter 2, Section 2.2.17. The Planning and Zoning Division recommends approval of petition number PVAC 2500986 via resolution number 2025-R-69. Thank you.
You. I assume you don't want to rebut yourself, so
No.
you're good there. And any public comment?
There is none.
Commissioners? Anything to this? Going once, twice, and three times. Closing arguments?
No.
All right, then I'm going to close this public hearing. Request a motion.
I'll make it. I move to adopt resolution number 2025-R-69 as presented.
Second.
Well, thank you, Commissioner. Got a motion by Commissioner Langdon, seconded by Commissioner Duval to adopt Resolution 2025-R-69 as presented. Let's vote.
You've been sitting next to Barb too long.
Right, it's catching. And that passes 5-0. Moving on. Ordinance number 2025-22. City Clerk, if you'd be kind enough to read by title only.
Ordinance number 2025-22, an ordinance of the City of Northport, Florida, amending the future land use designation from conservation to agricultural estates for approximately 3.30 acres of land generally located west of Jennings Boulevard in Section 24, Township 40 South, Range 20 East of Sarasota County, and further described in instrument number 202-201-0157 in official records of Sarasota County, amending the City of Northport Comprehensive Plan, Chapter 2, Future Land Use Map 2-7, providing for findings, providing for adoption, providing for transmittal of documents, providing for conflicts, providing for severability, and providing an effective date.
Thank you very much. This is second reading, by the way. City Manager, this is your item.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The information for the second reading is that the City Commission voted unanimously to continue ordinance number 2025-22 to second reading on September 23rd, 2025. The approval of the ordinance will change the future land use designation of the subject property from conservation to agricultural estates. We ask that you adopt ordinance number 2025-22. Thank you, sir.
Sir. Commissioners, anything to this item? Seeing nothing, any public comment?
Maria Leslie. Northport needs to treasure and protect the environmentally conserved areas that are left. This small area is an odd one to bring up to change and a red flag. The city cannot be trusted with rezoning. Look what happened to majority of the city when the commissioners and city managers sneakily rezoned recently. There is no transparency with this and cannot be trusted. That's all.
Thank you, ma'am. I'm going to close the public hearing and request a motion.
Make it move to adopt ordinance number 2025-22 and find that the comprehensive plan amendment is consistent with the standards and the intent of the City of Northport Comprehensive Plan and Florida statutes.
Second.
A motion by the Vice Mayor, seconded by Commissioner Langdon, to adopt ordinance 2025-22, finding that the comprehensive plan amendments consistent with the standards and intent of the City of Northport Comprehensive Plan and the Florida statutes. There's nothing more to that. Let us vote. And that passes 5-0. Moving on to ordinance number 2025-21. And it's also quasi-judicial. And City Clerk, if you'd be kind enough to read by title only.
Ordinance number 2025-21, an ordinance of the City of Northport, Florida, rezoning approximately 3.30 acres of land located west of Jennings Boulevard in Section 24, Township 40 South, Range 20 East of Sarasota County, and further described in instrument number 202-201-0157 in official records of Sarasota County from Environmental Conservation Classification, EC, to agriculture AG classification, amending the official zoning map, providing for findings, providing for filing of approved documents, providing for severability, providing for conflicts, and providing an effective date. Can everyone wishing to provide testimony please stand and raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to provide is true and accurate to the best of your knowledge, so help you God? Thank you.
Thank you very much, City Clerk. Any ex parte communications, Commissioner Petra?
None.
Vice Mayor? Me, just general conversation and one-on-ones on this subject. Commissioner Langdon?
Not for me.
None for me.
Right then. Any agreed parties?
There is none.
And we're on to presentation, Ms. Laurie.
Good evening, Lori Barnes, Deputy Director of Development Services. This is a city-initiated rezoning of a property that was designated conservation on our former zoning map and retained that designation on our new zoning map. With the changes to the Unified Land Development Code, the ability of the property owner to build a single-family home was removed. So this mapping correction will reinstate that property right to the owner. I would just carry my testimony from the first September commission meeting to tonight's hearing record, and I would respectfully request that you approve this ordinance.
Thank you very much. Care to rebut yourself?
No, sir.
Very good. Any public comment?
There is none.
Then, Commissioners, the floor is yours. Anything on this item? Seeing nothing. Any closing arguments? I assume not. I assume not. Then I'll close this public hearing and request a motion.
She's walking in circles now.
I'll make it. I move to approve ordinance number 2025-21 and find that based on the competent substantial evidence, the specific requirements in the City of Northport Comprehensive Plan, and the decision criteria listed in section 2.2.13.c of the Unified Land Development Code have been met.
Second.
A motion by Commissioner Langdon, seconded by Commissioner Duval to approve ordinance 2025-21, finding based on competent substantial evidence, the specific requirements in the City of Northport Comprehensive Plan, and the decision criteria listed in section 2.2.13.c of the Unified Land Development Code have been met. Let's vote. And that passes 5-0. Right, moving on. Ordinance number 2025-20. City Clerk.
Ordinance number 2025-20, an ordinance of the City of Northport, Florida, amending the Code of the City of Northport, Florida, Appendix A, City Fee Schedule for utility fees, providing for findings, providing for conflicts, and providing for severability.
Ma'am, City Manager, your item.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. On the first reading, the motion was to continue ordinance number 2025-20 to second reading on today, September 23rd, 2025. Today, for the second reading, we ask you to have a motion to adopt ordinance number 2025-20 as presented. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Commissioners, anything to this item? Going once, twice, and 3 times? Any public comment?
There is none.
And I'm closing this public hearing and requesting a motion.
Move to adopt ordinance number 2025-20 as presented.
Second.
A motion by the Vice Mayor, seconded by Commissioner Duval to adopt ordinance 2025-20 as presented. Let's vote, folks. And that passes 5-0. Moving on to ordinance number 2025-19. City Clerk, if you'd be kind enough.
Ordinance number 2025-19, an ordinance of the City of Northport, Florida, providing for the use of speed detection systems in school zones, designating local hearing officer to conduct hearings on contested violations, and determining school zones where speed detection systems will be placed, amending the code of the City of Northport, Florida by adding Section 74-31, providing for findings, providing for conflicts, providing for severability, providing for codification, and providing an effective date.
Thank you, ma'am. City Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. During the City Commission regular meeting held on September 9th, 2025, the City Commission made a motion to continue ordinance number 2025-19 to second reading on today, September 23rd, 2025, which carried on a 4-1 vote. We ask today on second reading that you adopt ordinance 2025-19 as presented. Thank you, sir.
You, sir. Commissioners, anything to this? Okay. Any public comment?
Maria Leslie. The main issue with the speeding cameras is that they cannot hold people accountable of going the proper speed when it's not the designated school times. The cameras should only be active when it matters, right before and right after school, when the lights are flashing. The school zone time should also be posted at every designated zone. It is only currently in some, and that's all, Mayor.
Thank you very much. I'm going to close this public hearing. Request a motion.
I'll make.
I move to adopt ordinance number 2025-19 as presented.
Second.
Got a motion by the Vice Mayor, seconded by Commissioner Langdon to adopt ordinance 2025-19 as presented. Let's vote. And that passes 4-1 with Commissioner Petro dissenting. Commissioner, anything to this?
Earlier discussion we had would support my stand on this.
I'm sorry?
Earlier discussion that we had would support my stand on this.
Okay.
And Mayor, if I may.
Yes.
Since it was passed by the board earlier, I am supporting the project and helping it move forward. That is why I voted in the affirmative on this motion.
Thank you, sir. All righty, moving on to ordinance number 2025-23. City Clerk, if you'd be kind enough to read by title only.
Ordinance number 2025-23, an ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Northport, Florida relating to fines and liens, amending the code of the City of Northport, Florida, Section 2-511 to expand and clarify the lien reduction program for code enforcement fines, providing for conflicts, providing for severability, and providing an effective date.
Thank you. City Manager, your item.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The City Commission voted unanimously to continue ordinance number 2025-23 to second reading on today, September 23, 2025. We ask that you adopt ordinance today, number 2025-23. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Commissioners, anything to this item? Seeing nothing, any public comment?
There is none.
Then I'm closing the public hearing. Requested a motion.
Move to adopt ordinance number 2025-23 as presented.
Second.
Motion by the Vice Mayor, seconded by Commissioner Langdon to adopt ordinance 2025-23 as presented. Let's vote. And that passes 5-0. Moving on, ordinance number 2025-29. This is, okay. City Clerk, if you'd read by title only.
Ordinance number 2025-29, an ordinance of the City of Northport, Florida regarding quasi-judicial proceedings, amending the code of the City of Northport, Florida, Section 2-79 through 2-84, providing for conflicts, providing for severability, and providing an effective date.
Thank you, ma'am. City Manager, your item, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This item was approved on first reading and continued to today, September 23rd, 2025. We ask that you adopt ordinance number 2025-29 today as presented.
You, Commissioners, anything to this item? Seeing nothing, any public comment?
There is none.
Then I'm closing this public hearing. Requested a motion.
Move to adopt ordinance number 2025-29 as presented.
Got a motion by the Vice Mayor, seconded by Commissioner Duval to adopt ordinance 2025-29 as presented. Let's vote. And that passes 5-0. Moving on to general business items. 25-2557. City Manager, your item.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This item is discussion and possible action regarding the Fourth Amendment to the lease agreement by and between the City of Northport, Florida and the City of Northport Senior Center Incorporated for space at the Community Education Center located at 4940 Pan American Boulevard in Northport, Florida. We are looking today for discussion and action to approve or deny the Fourth Amendment between the two parties. There is information in the staff summary regarding some of the history of the situation. But as we go into the situation now, I'm looking at our Social Services Division Manager, Janet Carrillo, who might want to add some details to what I'm discussing. But the building itself, which we do own, has another tenant in it as well. And the lease of that tenant is not up until June of 2026. Based on the condition of the facility, which we're going to go into greater detail with you on our workshop on October the 6th, we are recommending that you extend their lease to match the other tenant's lease. And then at that point, the decision of the future of the building will be yours to make based on the cost of the repairs of the building. Want to add anything to that?
Evening, everybody. Janet Carrillo, Social Services Manager. I don't know if you have any specific questions regarding the memo that I've submitted to upper management, or if you would like an update on that. But I do have the subject matter experts regarding the second portion of what City Manager was explaining regarding the building, and they'd be able to explain exactly what's happening with that building right now.
Commissioners, I guess I'm up first. Yeah, I was going to bring up the other tenant and the reality that, you know, they're in there until what, June, you said, of 26?
June 30th, 2026,
Yep.
9 months.
So this would give the senior center a little bit of time and flexibility, that much more, and it would tie them together. Is there any value in them being out of that building any sooner from the standpoint of any work we can do, any preliminary work, or we really can't do anything until both tenants are out?
So you would have to break the lease or get them out.
Not renew.
Right, not renew. But you have two leases currently there, right? So one of them still has 9 months. So you would have to either do something with that lease for cause or without cause, whatever the lease says. But there's not much we can do with that building. That's the problem. It's not that we're going to go in there and get the tenants out and we're going to remodel the building or restore the building. The building is at end of life. And if you remember, I think it was 2020, I think Vice Mayor was here for that. We were trying to do a re-roof project on that building and it couldn't withstand that at that time. And we were able to put a light coating on the roof to stop it from leaking, knowing that that was going to be the last repair that roof likely would.
Commissioner Langdon?
Thank you, Mayor. One of the leaseholders has broken several conditions of their lease over the past several years. If we extend their lease to the end of life of the building, what is staff prepared to do to monitor the situation to make sure that those transgressions don't continue?
Well, I've had multiple discussions with the senior center president, Ms. Tatum, Eileen Tatum. I believe we are both in agreement that no further issues will arise from that. However, My job and my responsibility, unfortunately, is to make sure that the lease is being, followed from all my tenants, not just them specifically. So the only thing that I can do personally to make sure that the lease is being followed is to keep watch on the operations, stay in communications, but I'm not there on the daily, so I cannot tell you that I'm going to see everything that happens on the daily. I could set up specific meetings with that tenant and make sure that, everything's being followed. At this point, they've only had 2 infractions, and those infractions are mentioned in the memo. As of the last...
Pretty serious infractions. Not minor.
Well, it's based on what's in the lease, and in those discussions, like I said, I've spoken to Ms. Tatum. No further infractions have happened since the last one in May, as of now.
I personally would appreciate some regular meetings, perhaps with both tenants, to just check in and make sure things are continuing smoothly.
Yeah, we can do that, absolutely.
I think as long as there are no further infractions, I would be supportive of extending the lease so that both leases are up at the same time. I must say I do that reluctantly. But if we're keeping a close eye, I would be comfortable doing that.
Vice Mayor?
Yeah, I'm pretty much on the same page there. It would be only fair not to renew it for a year, because then we're gonna flip-flop back again and be back here in June when Awaken wants to renew their lease, and we've already extended this one past that time. So to cut them off at the same time would be fair, and I wouldn't cut them off now for trying to get in there to fix stuff. It's just, we'll do it all at once, because we're gonna have workshops. We're gonna find out what the costs are, if there are any, and if it's to the means on where it gets totally destroyed and then has to be rebuilt. That's a decision we'll have to make, because we don't have the money right now to repair or bring it up to code or whatnot. You can reach millions of dollars just by trying to fix one building. So, but this way it does give them enough time, both parties, to figure out a means on where they may be able to go, or possibly maybe invest in that property there to where they may want to do some fundraising and rebuild it, and then we could release it back out to them. You never know. There's a lot of possibilities out there, so there's still hope, but I think the best thing to do is just extend the lease until June to where they expire at the same time.
Yeah, and I would just add, let's not lose sight of the fact that despite whatever issues the senior center might have, senior center does provide a place for seniors to come and gather, and that is a service that is important in our community. And so, I don't have any problem with extending this to coincide with the other tenant's lease termination, it makes sense. Hopefully that'll give both parties enough time to figure out what they're gonna do, and we can go from there. Commissioner Duval?
Thank you, Mayor. I do tend to agree with my fellow commissioners on what they've said, but I do want to put emphasis on that ending of infractions. That just has to happen.
Correct.
Thank you.
All right. We have any public comment?
Debbie McDowell. I withdraw my public comment request. Thank you.
I'm looking for a motion then.
I'll give it a shot. Did we have an end date for the Awakens lease?
June 30th?
June 30th, 2026. I move to approve the Fourth Amendment to the lease agreement by and between the city of Northport, Florida and the Northport Senior Center Incorporated for Space at Community Education Center located at 4940 Pan American Boulevard, Northport, Florida, extending this current lease to June 30th, 2026. Is that good enough?
So both are not being brought back. Neither one's being brought back on June 30th. then.
For renewal?
No.
Do I have a second?
Making sure.
Second.
Got a motion by the Vice Mayor, seconded by Commissioner Langdon, to approve the Fourth Amendment of lease agreement by and between the City of Northport, Florida and Northport Senior Center, Inc. for space at the Community Education Center located at 4940 Pan American Boulevard in Northport, Florida, to include an extension of the lease until June 30, 26. Did I get that right? All right. With that, let's vote. That passes 5-0.
And Janet, just for the record, to do it that way was this way. I know they'll both be up for renewal at that time, but that gives us a discussion point for when we get to that point. So this way they're both even.
Okay.
That's why I did it that way. I know you were asking the CM, so I wanted to explain that to you.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, folks. Moving on to general business 25-2712. This discussion and possible action regarding reconsideration of the commission board committee assignments. This was requested by Commissioner Langdon. I guess I introduced this for you. So Commissioner, you have something to say on this matter?
Yeah, I will keep it really quick. We'll be reviewing our overall assignments sometime in November, is that correct? So I'll keep it really brief. There is an upcoming meeting of CHNEP this Thursday, September 25th. It's a very important meeting, a policy community meeting at the Punta Gorda Library. I have a conflict with another city obligation and really need someone to cover that meeting. There are 2 other meetings this year, but they're in December after we have an opportunity to review all of our assignments. The mayor is my backup. I know his dance card is pretty full with his mayoral duties. So I'm hoping one of my fellow commissioners would be willing to attend that meeting as my proxy.
Oh, anybody want to step up for that one? Like I say, I had a conflict, so I'm unable to, but Commissioner Duval?
What time, it's Thursday morning, the 25th, correct?
Yes.
Thursday. Okay, what time is that at?
Let me check my calendar and get that for
Don't
you.
be surprised if you see her on a Zoom meeting at the same meeting.
It's at 9:30 a.m.
Thank you. I did not have it in my calendar.
9:30?
9:30 to 1.
1?
Yes.
I could do it, but I have to be, if it's 9:30 to 1, I'll have to skip the pizza party. I need to lose weight, I can do that, but there's a little caveat. I do have to be in Sarasota for a CAB meeting at 3. So at 1 p.m., I gotta be out of there to get to Sarasota, so.
Thank you, Commissioner. I really appreciate your willingness to do that. I have a question for City Clerk. How much of an effort would it be when we review those committee assignments if we also knew what the meeting schedule was for those assignments? Is that information that you would have by November?
We have a general idea for some of them. I reached out today to get schedules for the rest of this year and next year from all of the boards and only was able to get them from about 3 of them so far. The other ones don't have them scheduled yet.
Okay, I'm wondering if any of us who currently sit on some of those boards have received the meeting schedule for next year, if they could forward them to City Clerk. I just think it would be really helpful when we're making our commission commitments that we are able to make sure that we don't get into a jam like I've been in.
We do have on there what they typically meet, like second Thursday or quarterly, so we
Right.
have a idea, but a lot of them have changed through the year due to other
Right.
conflicts and stuff too.
And
So
sometimes
they'll-
if something's in the morning and something's in the afternoon, we can handle both of it, but it's when they're.
This particular committee too is brutal, because I had it before you, and I couldn't make a one. I had conflicts every single month. It was like every time it came up, I had something else that was, I couldn't reschedule.
Right.
The other committees don't seem to create that kind of conflict, but this one's tough.
Yeah.
This one's a tough one, so we'll figure it out in November.
Well, again, thank you very much, Commissioner Duval, for stepping up for that. I truly appreciate it.
All right, we don't need
Oh,
anything.
Can I ask the city clerk to make sure that that gets put on my schedule? Thank you.
Can we make sure you're gonna check your schedule?
He's very good about that.
All right, that's all we need on that item. Moving on, 25-2732, City Clerk, this is your item, go ahead.
Okay, I'm sorry, I was emailing the calendar invite to Commissioner Duval. So this is an item to request that we either cancel or reschedule the December 4th ceremonial meeting due to a conflict with the Florida League of Cities Legislative Policy Committee meetings that we do have some commissioners attending. So we could either cancel it or reschedule it to December 11th at 4 p.m.
What say ye, commissioners? You can always ask a question.
You got any idea on how many items will be on there in December, or is it just as it comes? Because, I mean, what if we waited till the next month?
Let me look and see if we have any yet.
I'm just curious, if waiting a month is no big deal, or we can reschedule. I got no problem with that either.
0 items currently.
Well, let's keep it that way.
Oh,
Doesn't matter to me, whatever you want to do.
any public comment on this one?
There is none.
No. Anybody else got anything to say on this one? I asked for a motion, am I gonna get it from anybody here?
I'll make it. I move to reschedule the December 4, 2025 City Commission regular meeting to December 11, 2025 at 4 p.m.
Second.
Got a motion by Commissioner Duval, seconded by Commissioner Langdon, to reschedule the December 4th, 2025 City Commission regular meeting to December 11th, 2025 at 4 p.m. There's nothing more to it. Let's vote, folks. And that passes 5-0. All right. And next item, final item up, 25-2735, discussion possible action regarding city manager's annual evaluation. City manager, if you want to introduce it.
Sure. Please give me your evaluation feedback, Mr. Mayor. I appreciate the writings that you guys gave me when you submitted your evaluations. I think I've talked to most of you about them, so I appreciate your feedback and thank you for allowing me to be here.
Thank you, sir. Commissioners. What say ye about what kind of increase, so? Commissioner Langdon.
I'll throw an opening salvo out there. I think that our city manager has done an outstanding job since he came to the city. I just want to remind all of us that our charter officers do not get a cost of living increase. So whatever raise we would give the city manager, we would need to keep that in mind. I would also say that in city manager's first couple of years, for my own part, I felt that we were playing catch-up. We had started city manager fairly low in the range, and he was significantly lower than some of his peers in the county and in some of the immediate areas. I don't feel at this point that we're playing that kind of catch-up. So I'll throw out an initial, just for conversation, a 5% increase for the city manager based upon his performance evaluation.
Commissioners, who else wishes to speak? Seeing nothing. Any public comment?
Maria Leslie, the city manager's current salary is an incredulous $185,453.87. Our state governor's salary is $141,400.21. Fletcher doesn't need a salary increase by any means. He needs a reality check and to take a citywide poll from the residents on his performance. All of the sneaky rezoning, massive development in the last few years, and overall mishandling of our city would surely be swept under the rug. And that's all, Mayor.
Thank you. Well, I'm looking for a motion here.
I'll make it. I move that we increase city manager's pay by 5% based upon his performance evaluation.
Second. Got a motion by Commissioner Langdon, seconded by the Vice Mayor, to approve a 5% increase in city manager's pay based on performance evaluation. If there is nothing else to this, folks, let's vote. And that passes 4-1 with Commissioner Duval dissenting. Commissioner?
Thank you, Mayor. I have a number of reasons. Number one being, we all know finances in the city in the next few years are going to be difficult. We've got to start somewhere to start to mitigate some of the costs. And city manager received a 15% raise, I believe it was, last year. Based on the cost the city's facing, I just can't support a 5% raise. Secondly, city manager does a great job at a lot of things. Like if I tell the city manager that there are problems, that this is an actual thing. You know, I told him to drive down my street. It's a microcosm of things that are wrong in Northport. And he did. And those things are being fixed. That abandoned house has got a new roof on it. They got people putting a new roof on it today. It's been abandoned for years. I thank the city manager for that, but that is his job. And there are other factors to the job too. And I got a letter from a constituent kind of faulting the city manager on the way that the city manager treats sometimes the public, people who disagree with him. And that's not the first time I've heard someone say something like that. I personally take a slight, sometimes I laugh at things and say, yeah, that's funny, but sometimes there's some things I can't ignore. I do represent this city. And whether I do a good job or not, I do represent the citizens of the city that voted me into office. And for that reason alone, I deserve some respect. And this is what I saw when I walked in the city manager's office for a one-on-one. Okay, the city manager does not like me speaking to people in the city, asking questions. No city employee, let alone a commissioner, should have to deal with something like this. And for that reason, I can't support a 5% raise. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Any general public comment?
Mayor, may I say something?
Certainly.
Briefly, just in response to Commissioner DeVal's printing of the paper that I printed. So, Commissioner DeVal has been here for a year, a solid year, and he has failed to acknowledge and confirm the roles and responsibilities of his job versus my job. The charter is very clear as we try to tell him that asking staff questions puts them in a very uncomfortable position. It is specifically says you're not to ask or give them direction. Now, he has never given them direction, but he goes from questions of general nature to questions that are in detail about the jobs that they're doing. And I have told him countless amounts of times that that is not allowed. Now, I do not believe that this is the forum to have this conversation deeper, because you all as a board have been here longer than, some of you longer than me and him. But we will have a retreat and strategic planning session with the consultant, Doug Thomas, who normally comes in and sees you once a year. And we can, I look forward to having that conversation to see how we can all get on the same page with understanding where Commissioner DeVal should and shouldn't be, and buildings he shouldn't go in after being here for a year and understanding the different roles and responsibilities of a commissioner versus a city manager. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you.
Let me respond to that. for just a
Actually,
second.
this conversation I'm going to put an end to. Certainly, we can pick it up as a separate item, but, you know, Commissioner DeVal, you made it clear why you didn't support his increase. That's what this agenda item is about, and I think there's enough said. So with that, I'm moving on to any general public comments.
Before I speak, if I may ask Commissioner DeVal, could I see what that said? I didn't get to see it because from where I'm sitting. If you don't want to share it right now, that's fine. I will make a public comment. But I can only imagine it wasn't flattering. I can only imagine, yes. I can only imagine that it probably took you aback. I read every one of your reviews. And I had no intention to speak at this one. But after reading the reviews and seeing something that, again, not 100% sure what it is, this is the time to talk about it. This is his review. You have an agenda item. You have a commissioner who has a concern with one of his subordinates, and nobody wants to talk about it. Hello, have we seen this scenario before? Your silence is consent to allow disrespect behavior, and that is unacceptable to a commissioner, to a staff member, or to a citizen. And y'all don't want to talk about it? Now's the time. I am very sorry, Commissioner DeVal, that whatever you're going through with you and the city manager is happening. When I left office, I prayed no other commissioner would ever go through the crap that I did, with the silence and condoning of my fellow commissioners. Commissioner Petroff, I read your review, and I pray you don't have any wrath from your review too. This is unacceptable behavior by the commissioners for a subordinate. He would not allow any of his directors to ever put a sign up in that room or anywhere in City Hall. That is grounds for immediate dismissal. Unacceptable for all of you people.
Any other public comments? All right, then we're moving on to Commissioner Communications. Commissioner Petro, you're up first, sir.
I have no communications.
Vice Mayor. Commissioner Langdon
I have run out of voice.
and Commissioner Duval.
Yes. On September 11th, I participated, attended the Patriot Day ceremony here at City Hall. September 16th, I was at a day-long Southwest Florida Resiliency Summit put on by CHENIP at the Sunseeker Resort. And on September 19th, I attended the concert in the park on City Green and listened to FM station FLA for a nice evening of music. That's it.
Okay. And for me, I have no general communications, except I would like to say that to kind of put things in perspective a little bit, unless I'm living somewhere in the twilight zone, seems to me over the last couple of weeks, the conversations regarding the picture of Commissioner Duval was one of an approach in jest to try to make Commissioner realize the concerns city manager had. And in fact, to the point where Commissioner Duval actually talked about, and I think he did, although I haven't seen it, had a shirt made up for himself with that on it. So just to keep it in perspective here, you know, this commission and staff work closely together, better than it has for quite some time, in my opinion. And issues that arise should be able to be worked through. You know, certainly I think that, you know, if someone takes offense at something someone does or says, they ought to be man or woman enough to say it to them privately, in an opportunity to work through that and not bring it before the public with regard to something that's, you know, has to do with a job review. But hey, that's just my opinion. But I think people need to keep this a little in perspective because, you know, we will have this conversation again about responsibilities of commission versus staff. And for any of us who have run a rather large operation, I have to say it is extremely difficult when the chain of command's broken. Anybody who's operated a company and's had an investor or a board of directors member, feel free to go right out and talk with employees within your organization about anything that might come to mind, is quite undermining. It makes it extremely difficult for that employee. It puts that person in an awkward spot. It also undermines the idea of sunshine, which is that all commissioners should reap the same benefits of information that everyone else has. There is a plethora of reasons why this action is not a good action, and I think city manager took it on himself to try to find a myriad of ways to convey that to Commissioner Duval, and I would hope that, you know, they can have some conversation about this and work this through, and this doesn't become just some, you know, sensationalist issue to go back and forth, because this commission's worked well together this year, and it's accomplished a whole lot, and I wouldn't want to see people take advantage of this situation to create additional division within this city or within this commission. So that's all I have to say on my commissioner communications. We have anything from our charter officers, city clerk? Acting city attorney? And city manager?
No, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
With that, it is 9:43, I'm adjourning this meeting.